It's a beautiful November Saturday in Central Illinois. It's semifinal time in the playoffs, and today in Class 6A, two of the state's best all season long finally clash at Babcock Field. It's the Washington Panthers, the East St. Louis Flyers. At this point in the playoffs, the victories get even sweeter, but the losses become even more devastating. One team will advance to state next week at Hancock Stadium in Normal. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jonathan Michael here of Clutch Sports Media alongside John Camosa, Noah Burlett. Guys, it's going to be a fantastic matchup today. We'll talk more about that later. But let's start with the atmosphere, the crowd. It's been a spectacular season in Washington. Great season overall, lots of support, and there's a big crowd here today.
Yeah, if you're just showing up to the game now, good luck trying to find a spot to park. Every single lot's full. This stadium's full. Fans came out in droves. They're very excited for this game against a top team, not only in the state, but in the country.
And Noah, you're obviously a former Washington quarterback from just a couple years ago. You know what it's like playing in this atmosphere. You know what it's like playing in this town. I mean, just, what is it like playing in, seeing all these fans for such a big game?
Yeah, it's amazing. When you have a whole town behind you, there's, you got a whole army behind you. And, when the fans are here, it's loud. It gets really raucous. Everybody's into it, and everything's great. There's no place you'd rather be on a Friday or Saturday night.
Certainly, there's been lots to cheer about for Washington this season. It's been a very special one, a storybook one, you could say. It's their 100th year of football. It's the head coach Daryl Crouch's final year, and if you need another reason why this game is more special, 10 years and 1 day ago, the infamous Washington tornado, which wreaked havoc across the town, but then they rallied around the football team, who also made a semifinal run that year as well. Lots to play for the Panthers. Flyers looking for back-to-back state titles. Let's talk about the Flyers, though, Joko. Not just a state power, but a national power as well, ranked in the top 100 teams in the country. They have D1 commits, players with D1 offers on both sides of the football.
Yeah, you start with quarterback Robert Battle. This guy is a speedster, dual-threat quarterback. Not only can he throw the ball, runs a fake jet sweep, he can get out and really run, and he goes to his main target, Purdue commit, Jesse Watson. These guys are very talented, strong defense. Their O-line averages about 285 pounds, so this is almost built like a Division I team.
They certainly are. They're fast, they're athletic, and they will run. Washington, though, has a very strong defense. That's what they've been pounded all season long. They've also been running the ball pretty well as well, Cam McQuarrie. But Noah, let's talk about their defense. 4 touchdowns in the playoffs alone, 8 total on the season. They're going to play some complimentary football here today.
They are, and they're led by their linebackers, Jace Harlan, Eli Barrett, and Eli Pappas. And those guys are the disruptors in the middle, along with their defensive ends, Carter Prina and Garrett Cox. They are just complete home wreckers when it comes to that defense.
They certainly have been all season long. Washington comes in out a 59-16 win over Glenwood. East St. Louis beat Kankakee 39-13 last week. And this one is going to be a dandy here at Babcock Field in Washington. Stay tuned for kickoff and live coverage on CIProud.com.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime.
years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
I have just taken the field and the crowd is on their feet, shaking their cowbells. It is party time here in Central Illinois. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad you're with us here on Clutch Sports and Media. I'm Jonathan Michael here alongside Noah Burlett, former Washington quarterback, and Gavin Russell. Guys, it's a great day for football. Usually by the time you get to the semifinals, it's usually pretty cold outside. Not today, though. Beautiful 53 degrees. It feels like 50. Not much wind. Can't ask for much more.
You can't, really. You know, there's a perfect day for some great football between two very high-powered teams coming with two good defenses, two relatively very good offenses.
Indeed, and I remember last year about this time, John, we were covering Peoria High in their semifinal matchup, and you mentioned you couldn't feel your toes, John. This year, we're feeling pretty good. The sun is shining. Great day for football. The stands are packed here. St. Louis side, they brought their band. It is going to be a fantastic day for football.
It certainly will be, and let's take a look at how both these teams got here. Let's take a look at the full Class 6A playoff bracket. We got East St. Louis and Washington, and then we got Lake Zurich and Cary Grove, the other semifinal going on today. Of note, Lake
Balance with his arm, too. He has a complete cannon, and he really knows how to sling it.
Indeed, East St. Louis has faced a rigorous schedule, but taking on Kankakee, we thought we'd see a close one. Nope, that wasn't the case. East St. Louis flexing their muscle at home, taking on Kankakee and winning by big amount, 39-13. That's a pretty big final score for a playoff game against a really good Kankakee team. A common opponent for both of these squads are the K's, so we'll see what East St. Louis can bring into this week.
We certainly will. Let's take a look at the road to state for East St. Louis. They hosted their first two playoff games. We're on the road to Kankakee last week. They're on the road again today. 167 miles between these two schools, a 2-hour and 29-minute drive. They've made the trip, and there are lots of East St. Louis fans here in Washington. Lots of Washington fans as well. There's not an empty seat in the house. At least if there are, they're very little. I can't see any of them. It's going to be a great atmosphere. The Washington starters getting introduced right now. Let's send things over to a word from our sponsors over at WMBD and step aside. We'll come back with more live coverage and kickoff from Babcock Field between the Washington Panthers and the East St. Louis Flyers on Clutch Sports Media.
It wasn't that long ago that I was ready to break, working a job that was making me miserable. Sure, I was getting my paycheck, but I was missing out on everything that mattered. I had to make a change, and that change was joining Sunflower Real Estate Group, becoming a realtor, and I never miss my kids' games. Sunflower got my life back on track. Sunflower Real Estate Group, the brightest spot in real estate.
Red tags and gold bow ties in the heart of Chevy country. At Upstring in Washington, get your new Chevy while the getting's good. We're loaded with Silverado half-tons and heavy-duty diesels, and they've all got to go this month. At Upstring Chevy in Washington.
Upstring, serving you since 1982.
Meadows Avenue Tap, slots powered by Gold Rush Gaming, the gold standard in video gaming. Lunch service starting at 11. Meadows Avenue Tap, discreet gaming, great food, great friends. Our customers have won over 45 million lifetime. Meadows Avenue Tap, East Peoria.
them to develop a winning game plan. Get strong. Get Strong Law.
And welcome back into Washington. Kickoff not far away between the East St. Louis Flyers, the pride of the East Side, and the Washington Panthers. Real quick, guys, let's take a look at the tail of the tape for both these teams, what they've been able to do so far. East St. Louis, very good offense, great defense as well. Same for Washington. East St. Louis averaging 38 points per game, allowing just over 11. Washington scoring 41, allowing less than 10.
You know, their defense is ultimately outstanding. You know, they really know how to pursue the ball. Their defensive line really gets into it. They get back to the quarterback, and they really know how to bring pressure.
They certainly do, and you look at two complete teams. I mean, there are really no weaknesses on either of these teams. So they're going to just have a complete game today. It's just which team is going to make the bigger plays. It can make the plays at the big times.
And real quick, our Academy of Screen Printing and Awards coin toss was won by the Flyers. They decided to receive. So the Flyers will get the ball first, and it will be Devin Miller ready to get things going in Washington. Buckle up, folks. A great afternoon of football underway, and we are going here in Washington. High kick received at the 22-yard line by Jayon Jackson. He's returning out across the 25, across the 30, still going across the 40, now the 50. He's got some blockers. He could take this all the way. Brown, the only man to beat. Jackson beats him. Flyers strike first.
Washington really loaded that left side of that kickoff, and once he caught that ball, he just reversed it to the other side, and he had nobody in front of him.
Maybe the only thing that we've seen this entire postseason that's Washington has struggled with. They've had a couple of kickoff returns for touchdown allowed. Earlier back in the first round, they allowed one against Danville as well. So maybe something to clean up there on special teams. But Flyers with a big opening punch.
Jayon Jackson, the senior cornerback, was the one to bring it back. He's one of 5 D1 commits on this Flyers team. They have more that are just have offers as well. He's going to Central Michigan next year. The kick is up and good. That's an ideal start for the East St. Louis Flyers, guys. You mentioned it, Gavin. Washington, most of their touchdowns that they've allowed this season, or I should say in the playoffs, have been via kick returns. The 2 of them happened against Danville, and that was the only reason they lost against Kankakee back in week 2.
Yeah, on that rainy first-round night, we saw Danville take a couple kicks back, and it was in wild fashion. Washington had returned one also, so we were kind of trading blows early on. So we'll see if both these teams can kind of get into a rhythm from scrimmage, but otherwise, special teams could rule the day, and the Flyers getting off to a fast start.
And it's great that you said a fast start, Gavin. I mean, you look up and down this roster, East St. Louis, a team that's always been fast. They're fast again this year. They showed it there. I think that's probably one of the biggest keys that Washington had to deal with today.
Indeed, and now we'll see Washington create a little magic of their own. I mean, Noah obviously currently playing, being a former player here at Washington. I mean, what do you do to respond to something like that?
Well, you always got to come out and have a great drive. Maybe not a quick drive, maybe take some time off the clock, but Washington's going to still do what they do. This Coach Crouch-led team is going to pound the ball and, take time off the clock.
That was a big key for Washington. We'll get into our keys of the game here after the Washington kickoff. It will, looks like Reese Shanklin, the freshman quarterback, is the designated kickoff man for East St. Louis. Flyers swing back and forth, and they send it down to Washington. How will they respond? Deep kick goes into the end zone. Let's meet the Washington offense, brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Tyler Humphrey, junior, quarterback.
Cannon McQuarrie, senior, running back.
Jace Harlan, senior, fullback.
Dre Lewis, junior, wide receiver.
Tyler Brown, senior, receiver.
Brayson Barth, senior, receiver.
James Johnson, sophomore, wide receiver.
Garrett Cox, senior, tight end.
Cash Wisher, junior, right tackle.
Noah Bell, junior, right guard.
Aiden O'Brien, senior, center.
Jack Stewart, junior, guard.
Robert Martin IV, senior, D-line.
And there's the Washington starting offensive trick play on the first play. McQuarrie's going to throw it to Barth. Overlooked him. That's the second third week in a row that Washington has started the game with some trickery, guys. But let's take a look at our keys to the game. First, for East St. Louis, patience is a virtue. You have a fast team, but you got to realize that you're not going to always score quick, although they've already proved us wrong with that. And also, it's hunted season. Head coach Darren Sunkett said that we're not being hunted, we're the hunters.
Yeah, that's right. You know, when you're facing a good team and a great defense like Washington, you got to punch them in the mouth first and really establish your will on what you want to do and what your game plan is.
And for Washington, it's not laundry day. They wanted to stay away from the flags. Had 7 last week as they hand off to Harlan, the fullback, up the middle for a pickup of about 2, and then also beyond top. TOP standing for time of possession.
Indeed, they definitely want to get the ball. Obviously, they got the ball rather quickly, maybe not the way they wanted to do so, but they'd like to go forward and get a first down. They averaged 29 minutes of possession the last 2 weeks, so they definitely have held the ball a lot, and they'd like to continue to do so, although it looks like we might get a stoppage for an injured player, and we'll see what Panthers can dial up on a 3rd and long.
It'll be 3rd and 8 now for Washington against this East St. Louis defense. That's also loaded with talent as well, especially in the secondary. Keep an eye on number 1, Leontre Bradford, who they call Smiley as his nickname. He's headed to Purdue next year.
One of a couple players headed to Purdue for this Flyers team. A lot of Division I talent coming forward for East St. Louis.
3rd and 8, Washington goes with a heavy set. They'll run it up the middle and just try and use their strength, but East St. Louis a bit stronger on it. I'll set up a 4th and medium.
Washington come out with a wing T offense. Usually you don't see that. You see that from teams like Dunlap and other teams like that. Not usually Washington's mojo, but
got to be able to pull out your bag of tricks.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So the Panthers go 3 and out on their first drive. It'll be Joe Smith to punt it for Washington, a sophomore averaging just under 28 yards per boot. And back deep for East St. Louis. That's their senior wide receiver, Rico Bond. At the 45, he'll let this one go. And it goes out of bounds. Side judge says one out at the 44. So a 31-yard punt for Smith. Let's meet the Washington defense, brought to you by Bob Grimm Chevrolet.
Eric Doherty, Jr., nose.
Noah Bell, Jr., D-line.
Robert Martin IV, senior, D-line.
Garrett Cox, senior, DN.
Carter Prina, Jr., defensive end.
Eli Bear, senior, linebacker.
Eli Pappas, senior, linebacker.
Chase Harlan, senior, linebacker.
Dre Lewis, Jr., cornerback.
Brayson Barth, senior, corner.
Cannon McQuarrie, senior, safety.
Zach Ryan, senior, safety.
Tyler Brown, senior, safety.
Mason Burke, senior, safety.
And there's the Washington defense. East St. Louis going to throw it out. Here's Battle. And he's sacked. Flag down, but a big play for Washington will await the call.
Cannon McQuarrie there, looked like he was getting held a little bit. Still pushed through and was able to get that shoelace tackle.
And he thought he was going to be able to have an open man down the field, but that just proves how good every facet of this Washington defense is. They had him completely locked up in the secondary, allowing time for those pass rushers to get in there and bring him down.
Battle, definitely a mobile quarterback. You saw in the open what he did last week. He pulled off a big, long touchdown run.
Looks like we got holding both ways.
Holding on both teams as we get the PA call from Eric Schermerhorn over the Washington public address system. So those penalties will offset when we'll redo first down, I should say.
Washington with 5 defensive backs in the game right now.
I got Lewis, McQuarrie, Barth, Burke, and Ryan and Brown. I'll hand off the end around. And across the 45, looks like that was Taylor Powell. The ball came out. Is it Washington football? I believe it might be. The Washington crowd thinks so. East St. Louis motions it's their ball. Who's got it? Still no call. Everyone on Washington's side, head coach Daryl Crouch, the players, the fans say it's Panther football. The referees don't seem to know whose ball it is.
Lengthy discussing here.
It really looked to me like that popped out well before, unless they're going to say he was down by contact. It is Washington's ball.
Eli Bear was the first one to motion. It's Washington football, and it is. That's huge for Washington, who's forced over 3 turnovers in almost every game they've played this season.
That's right, getting right back into what they do best, especially against this high-powered East St. Louis team with all the weapons they have. And if they have the opportunity to create turnovers and help this Washington offense with field position, they should do it more often.
And this is an ode to CSM broadcaster Cody Roskins. Big Mo, the momentum. We'll see where that can bring both teams today. Big Mo going back in favor of Washington and getting that fumble.
You look at the Department of Defense for Washington, 8 defensive touchdowns, 4 in the playoffs. If you look at the NFL, when teams score on defense, they win 75% of the game, and Washington certainly contributed to that. We're not playing NFL football here, but still translates at the high school level. McQuarrie picks up 4 on first down.
One of the things you're going to see here from the Washington Panthers offense is they have 2 tight ends in there, so look for a lot of power I and a lot of ISO going right up the middle or going right off those tackles.
Like to be able to create lots of holes there, Noah, as you mentioned. If you give McQuarrie any space, up 2 or 3 yards, he could be gone. And he's always going to, put his head forward. He's always going to gain a couple extra yards.
That's right.
So here's Humphrey, the quarterback, out of the I formation. He'll hand off to McQuarrie, and he's met at the 45. That was Shaman Hamilton, one of the big defensive linemen on the East St. Louis front. Let's meet the Washington head coach, Daryl Crouch. In his 19th season, guys, we've said it so long, almost every game. Can he postpone their retirement party one more week? Look at his overall record, winningest coach in Washington history, making his 3rd semifinal appearance.
Yeah, that's crazy to do. Once you can get that many wins with a program, you're an elite coach. He has a deep playoff history, and he's had a lot of great teams come through here.
They'll run it again on 2nd down, and he gets across to the 50. That'll be a first down for Washington.
Really, you just need to, as we've mentioned so far, got to go slow and methodical. Take it 1 play at a time. Doesn't matter if it takes you 3 times to get yourself a first down. Just got to keep progressing forward. You don't want to get stopped up too many times. You don't need those 3 and outs. So nice job by Washington responding, getting it over midfield, and getting that first down.
The Panthers cross midfield. They weren't really able to do so much against Crete Moni 2 weeks ago. That was a defensive slugfest, at least in the first half. Panthers won that game 21-0. Out of the eye again, they'll run it. Here's McQuarrie to the left side. He's going to try and get a push from Aiden O'Brien, the center. Little gain there on 2nd down.
See, those linebackers are really filling those gaps very quickly. They're very athletic linebackers. Washington's pullers need to really climb up to those 2nd level and take those guys out.
And they do have a lot of those D1 guys there on East St. Louis that are going specifically for defense or have been recruited defensively on the D-line, some in the secondary. So whenever you got that kind of talent just on your defense alone, that's a really scary sight.
A little under 7 minutes to go here in the first quarter. Tough to see the score cam. Sun coming in right on the scoreboard. They hand off to McQuarrie, who bounces off a couple tackles, sprints across the 45, and he's met by a whole hanger of Flyers at the 44-yard line. Make it 3rd and medium now.
Panther running back number 2, Kanan McQuarrie.
As Washington not throwing the ball hardly at all, and we saw that in the first half against Glenwood last week. I believe they only threw the ball once or twice the entire first half. Didn't throw it at all on their first 2 drives of the game.
Yeah, like Washington's MO this year is to definitely pound that rock. And, maybe they can open up a little bit with the pass game to Brayson Barth or Carter Prina or Garrett Cox. But if they do that, they can really open up the run game.
They'll run it again. McQuarrie spins off another tackle. He's so hard to bring down, and he rushes for another first down. I'll keep the chains moving and the cowbells ringing. First down, Panthers.
It's like he was waxed up or something there. They couldn't get a good hand on him, and he spins out of there. You know, you might say, oh, he's a little undersized there, running back, a little easier to bring down. Well, actually, he can be quite a bit more elusive, and he's more of a power back, I think people realize as well.
Oh, yeah, he's a very low center of gravity, really slippery player, knows when to juke him, knows when to truck, and he's a very good athlete.
Look at the Washington's run game. Their paws have been on the ground most of the season. 85% of their plays are run plays. They have 2,497-yard margin and 28 touchdowns, or more than that this year. As Humphrey went deep on 1st and 10, looking down the field for Cox, incomplete.
Yeah, he had 2 seam routes down the middle with the 2 tight ends, Prina and Cox. He had to pick one side, just overthrew him just a little bit.
They kind of have to find out what works here with that passing game. They don't use it a lot. Sometimes their common opponents in the mid-line, they could catch off guard with that just because they were expecting run so much. For the Flyers, they're just going to kind of be everywhere, so they have to figure out what works and how exactly they want to use that pass game. But that's the time to feel it out here in this first half and make those adjustments later on.
2nd and 10. Washington goes with just that one wide receiver set. That's Barth at the top of the screen. It's a fake handoff to Harlan, who got met at the line, but Humphrey scurries up to the 33. I'll make it a 3rd and a little bit more manageable. So, again, Washington, they're dominating time of possession right now. We can say that for sure.
Oh, yeah. That's what they like to do, wind that clock down and make sure East St. Louis has as little possessions as possible with the ball because they are an electric offense.
And the way this drive's been going, I feel like you just need to keep on moving and get yourself maybe at least a field goal range, if nothing else. You want to be able to put points up on the board to keep your confidence growing if you're Washington.
Of note, Devin Miller, their sophomore kicker, banged a 41-yard field goal last week against Glenwood that had lots of room to spare, so he could get one from 45, maybe even 50. They'll hand off to McQuarrie. Big hole, spins around it, but meeting him was Elmo Gilliam Jr., their junior linebacker who just sped up out of nowhere for the tackle. 4th down.
Very big stop on 3rd down for this Flyers defense. Really needed that one.
I think they're going to keep it out there and go for it. I like the call there, Noah. I feel like you got to just keep pushing. There's not a lot of room to punt. You're kind of in no man's land.
I agree with you.
Coming out the field for East St. Louis, that was Hamilton, their defensive lineman. East St. Louis, again, strong at all 3 levels, just like Washington. By the time you get to the playoffs, usually you're strong in just about every facet of the game. Say that for just about every team remaining in the state. 4th and 3, and it looks like Washington head coach Darryl Crouch wanted to talk things over. Didn't like what he saw there, so we'll take a timeout sponsored by Fox Pub in Peoria. Great little spot for food and drinks in a sort of a British Isles themed setting. Head on over to Fox Pub. Great food, great drinks, and a great atmosphere. So 4th and 3, guys, you know, playbook is open. You can really do a little bit of anything. What are you guys doing? Noah, maybe you know what Darryl Crouch likes to do here on 4th down, since you played under him.
Well, what I think he's going to probably dial up is some outside zone or toss play where to get Kanan in space with so he can use his great legs and pick up that 1st down. It looks like it's about 4th and 3 and a half. So if he can get outside and follow his blockers, he can definitely even take this to the house.
And I like that call there, Noah. I think it's really just going to be dependent on if he can get up a couple of yards to start with. If he gets met at the line of scrimmage or behind, I think that's going to completely shut it down. If he can manage just to get up a yard or 2, I think he'll be able to push forward for a 1st down. So this is very reliant on what these blockers can do. And as you mentioned, those extra tight ends out there, how can they come up and block?
Cox and Prina, 2 of the best defensive ends in the state south of I-80, Darryl Crouch says. They also play tight end as well and play a big part in paving the way, sweeping the road for this Washington run game. 4th and 3, Humphrey barks out the audible, or perhaps just a different call. They'll hand off to Harlan. No, it's Humphrey. He's got it. He faked out the Flyers and picked up the 1st down.
He had a midline play fake there. He was reading that one technique. Once he crashed down on Jace Harlan, he pulled the ball and went right outside the tackle.
And, hey, I mean, he may not be able to pass the ball as much. They don't pass. But to have a leader like that under center to be able to make those reads and to be able to pick up the 1st down himself, that is worth a lot in itself.
Panthers putting together a nice drive against, again, one of the top teams in the country. East St. Louis, always regarded nationally. They're ranked currently number 68 in the country, according to Max Preps, whose rankings, could be accurate, could not be accurate. Personally, not a huge fan of them, but they are a good indicator of how good these big teams are. Humphrey rolls out, evades the sack. He's got to throw it, gets rid of it in the direction of Cox, but a late flag comes in. Honestly, it may get him for a grounding. We'll await the call.
Washington show you something, little play action fake there. Harlan had that outside block, but he trucked right through him and got outside and almost got Humphrey, but he got it away.
They're waving it off. So the key of no laundry day for Washington is still intact. No flags so far. Again, they had 7 for 70 yards against Glenwood last week, while the Titans only had 1.
Still a risky pass right there. Was in the borderline of maybe being a grounding. There was a guy in the area, thankfully for Barth, but definitely something you want to keep an eye on, although he did not take the sack, and we'll go to second down.
Will be 2nd and 10. Could say that 10 is the magic number for Washington. More on that later. Humphrey pitches out to McQuarrie, but he's wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage. 3 Flyers were there, including Elmo Gilliam Jr. again.
He is all over the field right now. Seems like everywhere the ball is, he is.
Really just bombarding them right there. Nothing you can do. They had the pitch option, but either one was going to get swallowed up, and speaks volumes to how good this East St. Louis defense is. This is a critical 3rd down. I almost think that you want to maybe just try to work it in towards the middle of the field. Nothing else set you up for a little easier look at a field goal.
Now come out with 4 wide receivers, Nettles and Barth at the bottom of your screen, Brown and Johnson at the top. Humphrey scans across the field. Barth is hit. Incomplete, but there's a flag. This may give Washington a 1st down. Physical play there on the football, and not sure what the ref saw or didn't see there, but we do know is that if this is a PI call, it'll be a 15-yard penalty and a Panther 1st down.
Seems like East St. Louis keeps shooting themselves in the foot. They keep getting Washington in those 3rd and long situations, but Washington keeps powering through and picking up 1st downs.
East St. Louis doesn't particularly like the call on that one. It was a couple of bodies hitting each other at full speed. Maybe the angle there, maybe some leading with the helmet or just a little extra there, but nothing else. Washington's certainly going to take their 1st down.
I think a key for East St. Louis, who has lots of talent on defense and on both sides of the ball. We've mentioned it already almost too much. But they got to be disciplined. I think that's their biggest key for them. At times they didn't look disciplined against Kankakee, but they clutched up when they needed to. We'll see if they can bend but not break here in the red zone.
East St. Louis with 5 defensive linemen on the line.
They're probably expecting a Washington run, and surprise, it is one. It's Humphrey, but he is wrapped up. At time, I believe that was Leon Howard, if I'm not mistaken.
We've seen them go to that play a couple times. That one getting swallowed up. I feel like it's going to be a lot tougher for Washington here in the red zone as, East St. Louis is definitely going to try and stack that defensive line, expecting run a little bit more, a little less field behind them to get burned on. So may be difficult for Washington to score in the red zone if they can't maybe make some adjustments.
Hunter Reed checks into the game at running back. He had 3 touchdowns last week on 4 rushes. You want to talk to a man about efficiency, Hunter Reed's your guy. He's played big in the playoffs. They'll go to Harlan, the fullback, who's across the 10. They need the 4-yard line for a 1st down.
I don't even know what you go with here. Noah, what would you dial up? I mean, I know they've tried a couple passes, got bailed out last time on the PI. What do you even go with?
Well, the past few weeks they've had a lot of success with that quarterback ISO when they get in the shotgun. Kanan McQuarrie will be the lead blocker for Tyler Humphrey, and he usually gets a very good chunky yard, so I'd probably go to that.
It's tougher in the red zone to score, especially when you have so much speed like East St. Louis does. Humphrey sends Barth briefly in motion, but the snap is fumbled. Humphrey falls on it, but a wasted down for the Panthers, and now you're probably looking at maybe kicking a field goal.
Can't have that in the red zone. Taylor Humphrey, you know he wants that play back, and Coach Crouch won't be happy with that one.
Certainly a miscue right there, but East St. Louis is going to certainly enjoy the ability to stop them and hold them to what could be a field goal. We'll see if maybe they can put a little pressure on or get around for a block or something, but East St. Louis will overall take this outcome.
It's Miller on now from 27. It's up and it's good as time expires in the first quarter. East St. Louis takes back the opening kickoff for a touchdown with Jayon Jackson, but Washington marches 15 plays, gets in the red zone, ends with 3. We'll step aside, bring the second quarter live on here on Clutch Sports Media after these messages.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're excited about the all-new tracks, and they're selling as fast as they arrive. Just listen to Lee.
I looked everywhere for my 2024 Chevy Trax. I'm from Indiana, and I drove right over to buy it. Such a smooth and simple process.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
Michael's Italian Feast, home of the best subs, pizza bread, grilled cheese, and Italian beef fry. The best pile-high subs and hot sandwiches in Central Illinois. And no one has better homemade, always fresh from the oven bread. Michael's Italian Feast.
And welcome back to Washington. You see the Old Glory hanging from the ladder of a fire truck brought here to Washington. The whole town is out here supporting the Panthers. Lots of orange today, orange and black on one side, orange and blue on the other. So we're getting set here for the second quarter of the Class 6A semifinal here at Babcock Field. Let's take a quick look at the Washington scoring drive brought to you by Upstream Auto Group. They go 15 plays, 51 yards, 9 minutes and 20 seconds. An absolute masterclass in controlling the ball.
And ultimately, that's what the Washington game plan is. You know, keep East St. Louis's offense off the field as much as you can. Keep grinding out that defense and tire out that defensive line to the point where you can almost do what you want with them. Even though they ended up with 3, it was still a nice long drive.
Indeed, and when East St. Louis offenses was on the field, just for a handful of plays, they turned the ball over. So Washington can keep putting a little pressure on the ESL offense. We'll see how things go, but the Flyers may have a response in store.
Here's Miller to kick it away, and it's a squibber. Maybe trying to play it safe after the Flyers take back the opening kick, but this one may be looking good as well. Here's Rico Bond. He's got some speed of Washington in trouble again. He's across the 50. Bond steps out near the 40-yard line after some pushing and shoving. Great field position here for the Flyers. Bond is one of a couple players for East St. Louis as committed to play D1 football. Let's take a look at all of them here. Big futures in store for these guys. Leontre Bradford going to Purdue. Taylor Powell going to Northern Illinois. Jesse Watson going to Purdue. Jayon Jackson, we mentioned, going to Central Michigan. And Bond heading to Lindenwood. All those players seniors for the Flyers. But just a D1 factory that East St. Louis is down there near St. Louis.
Yes, it is. Very athletic school. Very athletic team we got here.
And the Flyers may have had a false start. Battle says it's on Washington, but he pleads to no avail. It'll now be 1st and 15 after the pre-snap penalty.
And speaking of Battle, not to cut you off there, but Battle is also heading to Lindenwood also. So a couple of connections right there, Lindenwood connection, Purdue connection, and how about all the guys that aren't even committed to go play Division I football? You know, you got guys like Charles Bass who have 21 Division I offers. I mean, there's some really special players that are going to be playing Big 10, Big 12 football, you name it. They're going to be playing Division I.
They put Bennett Jr. in motion, handoff to Laravius Woods. And he gets brought down at the 40-yard line. Nice tackle there from the Panthers. Looked like that may have been Noah Bell, their D tackle, getting in.
One thing East St. Louis does a lot of the time is they have a wide receiver coming in motion to almost fake a jet sweep to give it to their running back.
This is a very, very big second down right here. If Washington can keep this a 3rd and long, then that can do some pretty good things for them. But again, we see St. Louis's speed. They picked up all that penalty yardage and then a couple in the next play.
It's a 2nd and 8 from the 40. 4 wide receivers with trips right. Battle looking to throw. Wide open is his man, Jesse Watson. He's brought down at the 33, so a short of the sticks, tackled by Zach Ryan.
Great coverage there by Brayson Barth. Even though he wasn't on him tight, he made sure he didn't get any yards after the catch.
Flag on the play, and while we get a look at that, let's take a look. Well, I guess look at their D1 commits again, I guess. But Darren Sunkett as well in his 23rd season for East St. Louis. Overall record, guys, over 200 wins at the school. He's got 4 state titles and has 25% of East St. Louis's wins as a program in their entire history.
That's a pretty good legacy he's going to leave. You know, you don't ever see coaches with that many wins, with that many state titles. So that's a great legacy he's left on this school.
And the flag right there is really shooting East St. Louis in the foot. That's really been the biggest thing so far. They've had good control, but they've allowed Washington just kind of this opening the entirety so far this first half, and a personal foul after the play brings up a third and very long, third and almost 20.
Got down to the 33, but the personal foul sets them back 15. Washington fans are getting loud. They want to stop. East St. Louis wants to keep it moving. Battle from the shotgun, looking downfield. He's got quite the arm. He's going to run this one. He's across the 40. He's going to get the first down and more. Near the 20, a pickup of 27 for Robert Battle, who they call Pops, the All-State senior QB.
What a play from Battle there. You know, he sat back in the pocket. Washington only rushed 3 defensive linemen. Once he saw he had nobody down the field, he just used his athleticism to really make a play.
And another flag comes in. Washington fans were clamoring for something. It looks like it's a sideline infraction or something on East St. Louis, but they will indeed get the first down.
Battle last week had 120 rush yards on 11 carries, so you think about it, he's almost another running back in their backfield. East St. Louis moving a bit quicker than Washington does. They like to play at a bit faster tempo. They send Bennett in motion. They give it to him on the end around, or rather that's Taylor Powell, the athlete committed to Northern Illinois, and he is across the sticks. First down Flyers.
Really great outside blocking there. You see Carter Perina almost had a shot at him right off the edge, but couldn't get him, and they had a lot of outside blockers to take down those corners.
He almost had him, missed him just by a couple fingertips, you know, sold out for it, and you got to try those things in these sort of games. You know, you want to make the big play at the big time. But overall, Powell able to get up and around, get them first down.
Flyers knocking on the door. Not too many teams have scored twice in the first half against Washington all season, and this play is also blown dead. A little bit of a flag fest here, and East St. Louis, a false start.
Watching the game last week, East St. Louis versus Kankakee, they had a lot of penalties in that first half. It seemed like you couldn't go 3 plays without seeing a penalty from one team.
And I'd agree. You know, I think that's something that they definitely have struggled with kind of throughout the year. A team that plays as fast as they do, not everybody's always going to be able to catch up, but it almost seems like it works for them, Noah. You know, I mean, you don't want penalties, but if they can just be able to pull off big plays, they'll take 5 yards here and there to be able to pull off a play that's 15 or 20 not too long later.
That'll be 1st and 15 from the 16-yard line. Battle goes play action. Looking near the side, and he's got a touchdown wide open. That's Rico Bond in for 6.
Great ball from Battle there. They ran that deep out route. Battle put it right on the money.
Bond had some nice catches last week, took a lot up with Battle, and just an easy out route, as you mentioned right there. Wasn't even that much contested, and it's going to be one of the easier catches he makes.
Great route there run by Bond, has lost his defender, and by the time that he was open, beautifully delivered ball there from Battle, as the Flyers fans, they have their signature chant of East Side. And that PAT is no good. PAT went a little east for them there, and it will remain a touchdown deficit, 13-6, and East St. Louis scoring drive. They go 5 plays and 42 yards, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. Again, that scoring drive brought to you by Uftring.
Washington really needs to come out here and make a statement. They had a long drive last drive, but they only settled for a field goal. Maybe this time they can punch it in using Canaan McQuarrie.
And I would fully envision them taking a lot of the rest of this quarter if they can. It'll be that type of drive. If they can keep piling the first downs, they certainly will take a lot of time off the clock. But I feel like taking a touchdown into half and only being down around 3 would definitely be a victory for the home Panthers.
In case you're just tuning in, glad you're with us on Clutch Sports Media. Jayon Jackson of East St. Louis got the game started with some fireworks. Got the East St. Louis crowd going with a kickoff return for a touchdown on the opening kick. Washington came back with a long 9-minute scoring drive, ended with a field goal. Here's Nettles on the return from inside the 10, stutters and tries to get across the 27. He's still up, but he's brought down by a big group of Flyers, including Taylor Powell, their versatile senior.
Looked like Nettles had nothing right when he caught it, but he made a few quick moves and got some yardage.
Every yard really counts so much more in a game like this. You know, don't take it for granted. Maybe starting up with a little more comfortable territory rather than backed up towards your end zone, you know, that can make all the difference just for the confidence of this Washington offense. But we'll see what ESL can do. You know, they allowed the Panthers to march down the field, eventually stood tall in the red zone, but they would definitely like to make a statement of their own and, you know, keep the momentum going towards the side and white.
1st and 10 now for Washington at their own 22. They'll run up the middle, and again, East St. Louis's front 7 has been stifling today. Not much past about 4 or 5 yards all game long.
No, and that's one thing that Washington needs to address, maybe at halftime or maybe during the timeout, is maybe get outside, see how these East St. Louis can take defenders can take angles on Canaan McQuarrie because he is a slippery and fast running back.
Be able to just get him up a couple of yards is enough, but ESL is able to just kind of knife into that backfield, and that's been the difference maker so far. Wonder if Washington maybe tries to utilize going to the outside a little more.
They'll go up the gut again to McQuarrie, who runs into a sea of bodies just shy of the 25. Panthers' offensive line, guys, has been very strong this year, led by returners Cash Wisher, Henry Warwick, and alongside Aiden O'Brien, Jackson Stewart, Josh Hofer. But this is certainly their biggest test so far against this East St. Louis defensive front. Not as many big holes as we're used to seeing.
That's right. And East St. Louis really had a easy time getting in the backfield last week versus Kankakee. I think they had a decent amount of sacks the whole game, and they just seemed like Kankakee couldn't get anything going because of this defensive line.
3rd and 8 from the 24. Washington will keep it on the ground. Here's McQuarrie up across the 30. Wrestled down at about the 28. He came across the 25. It's 4th and short now. Real tough position here considering the down and distance and your field position.
Yeah, this is a tough one for sure, and I think ultimately they're going to elect to go with the punt team, which is probably the right call. You don't want to take too big of a risk and have it backfire on you, but certainly not what Darryl Crouch's group wanted coming out. East St. Louis, though, doing exactly what they planned on and got a big 3 and out right there.
It'll be Smith to punt. Bond stands back at the East St. Louis 39. Line drive from Smith, bounces across midfield, takes a Washington roll, and it's still going down near the 38. So overall, not a bad punt for the Panthers, but we'll see their defense get tested again. That's East St. Louis group that features a lot of players that also have D1 offers, guys. We mentioned that just a bit ago. Look at some of these schools: Aiden Taylor, Charles Bass, Keelan LeGrant, Tarian Martin, and Makai Mixon. I mean, you got Oregon, Michigan, Colorado, Coach Prime, Arkansas, Minnesota, West Virginia. Teams, nationally regarded teams, want these players from East St. Louis.
Oh, yes. They are full of firepower. You know, they got recruiters from all over the country coming to see their games, guys watching them, and they are stacked on that side.
Big play for Washington. It may be Panther football. They recover their second fumble of the game. Huge play for the Panthers.
What a turn right there. We saw it earlier that the fumble ended up in a long drive that resulted in points. Despite it being 3, it resulted in points. This time could it result in the Panthers getting a touchdown as they have about 35, 36 yards to go to the end zone. This will be a big momentum swing if they can do so.
I thought there was a bit of an issue with the handoff there, and just right place, right time there for Washington, whose defense thrives on turnovers. Let the Panthers eat. They'll go to old reliable McQuarrie. Nice push there, pick up of about 4. Second and medium.
Great job at that right side of that offensive line right there. Didn't really have it to initially when the play was ran, but Kanan McQuarrie moving his legs, and you can see those linemen keep pushing, and Kanan McQuarrie picks up about 4.
Kind of creates almost a wedge in there and just able to just kind of wedge up through that East St. Louis defensive line, as you mentioned earlier, just trying to wear them down a little bit. You know, can your guys be resilient? They run the ball enough. They've got pretty good stamina. We'll see if Washington can win the race.
Flyers brought mostly a 3-4 defense last week. This week they're going with more of a 4-3 front with LeGrant blitzing off the near side. They go to Humphrey, run it near LeGrant, but he's brought down. Flyer was able to escape his block, and it looked like that was Bryce Harrison, senior linebacker.
Those linebackers are really filling those gaps right now. Washington's creating big gaps with their O-line, but those East St. Louis linebackers are really filling them.
And with how many guys they're just throwing at that offensive line, you know, it's a lot of one-on-one matchups. So one guy slips through, that can kind of compromise the whole situation. You know, each guy there on that Washington offensive line pretty much has to do their job to a T. Otherwise, things are going to go south.
3rd and 5 from the 30. Hand off to McQuarrie across the 30, breaks a tackle, gets near the sticks. He's going to be very close. We'll see if they bring out the markers for a measurement. At least from our angle, looks like a matter of inches.
Did a great job of getting outside that time. He went outside the left tackle there and followed his blocker Prina, and he picked up some great yardage.
They might need to call Jalen Hurts and the Eagles for the brotherly shove. It's going to be just a matter of inches, no more than a ruler's length. It's a huge 4th down for Washington.
Who will win in the trenches? Hand off to McQuarrie. He falls down forward. Didn't get much, but he got what he needed. And the Panthers keep it moving down to the 25.
They're posing their well right now. Washington's running the ball all over the place. Even though they're not getting those long gains, they're steadily getting 4 to 5 yards every run.
And the nice thing here for Washington is they can keep chewing this clock. You know, ultimately you want this to end in a touchdown. But if nothing else, guys, if they can even just get themselves a field goal, that'll keep them within a touchdown's length, and they will receive to start the second half.
Panthers have only thrown it once today, and that resulted in the pass interference call against East St. Louis. They gave him a 1st down. As they approach the red zone, McQuarrie going left. He's still up. He's near the 1st down marker. That's the best run we've seen from McQuarrie today.
Really powerful legs. He shook off the first guy. Once the first guy got off him, he saw green grass and he took off. He had about 2 guys to beat, or else he would have been in the end zone.
And he's not satisfied with just taking some time off the clock. He wants to score now as soon as possible. You got to have that mentality too. Take it where you can get it, but if you get a big play opportunity, you go for it.
Approaching 3 minutes left here in the second quarter, and if Washington plays their cards right, it could leave the Flyers very little time before the half. Not saying they need much, though. Handoff goes to McQuarrie, and a short gain on 1st down.
Maybe see if Washington can get a play action here. Seems like Brayson Barth is one-on-one with his cornerback here. That safety isn't even looking at him, so maybe Brayson Barth can cut off for a long pass or something short that he can break away.
Washington did get the 1st down there on that play. Down to the 13 as the tight end Cox comes in for some extra blocking help.
Yeah, you need those blockers to really do your job here in the red zone. As mentioned, they're really going to be stacking that box. So a lot of bodies in the sea of humanity up there on the offensive and defensive lines. We'll see if the blockers can get it done.
Now go to McQuarrie again. And it looked like he may have had a hole but couldn't get past the first line of defense. Leon Howard, another linebacker in for the Flyers.
It's a great tackle by Howard. Really hit him low. Kanan McQuarrie, he may not be the tallest guy, but Howard really got down there and really stopped him.
That's the biggest thing with McQuarrie. If, you try to tackle him upstairs, usually he can kind of go away from it a little bit. But right there, just wrapping him up, taking away his legs, and enough to bring him down.
McQuarrie, a low center of gravity, a tough runner to bring down. Here's 2nd and 10. And off McQuarrie, left side, dives it just across the 10. And this is where Washington's drive stopped last time. We'll see if they can get a little bit closer to the end zone. They've only picked up 10 on about maybe 1 or 2 plays here so far today.
This drive, I noticed what they're doing very well compared to the past few drives. They're really getting a good push on those runs. Kanan McQuarrie last drive was getting hit in the backfield and picking up only 2 or 3 yards. This time he's only getting hit at about 3 yards, and he falls down and gets about 5 or 6.
Got to imagine they're making some adjustments over there on the sideline, turning up the aggressiveness with the blockers.
And we'll get a timeout, looks like from Washington and head coach Darryl Crouch. Washington making their 36th playoff appearance. This is their 5th time in the semifinals with 1 state title and 1 runner-up to their name. Their state title came back in 1985. They defeated Roxana 28-15 to advance to the state championship. Keith Sherman scored 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 passing. And there were 7 players on that team that were left over from that 1983 runner-up team. Back in Class 4A, Keith Sherman, Scott Underwood, Doug Wilson, Denny Klein, Brad Fuller, Todd King, and Scott Milburn. And that 85 team beat Rockton Hananiga, who's now in Class 7A, 28-12. That's the only state championship that Washington has, so they're hoping for number 2 this season, the first in 38 years.
Certainly they are, and we kind of mentioned, 10 years and a day ago was that tragic Washington tornado that came through here, really affected this community. That year they were in the semifinal as well, ultimately fell short, but this community's really rallied together, and they would love to get back through.
I'll go play action. Humphrey rolling out, and he's now across the 10. He almost got brought down behind the line by Keelan LeGrant, but ultimately it will be pretty much no gain for Humphrey, and Washington may have to kick it again here on 4th and about 6.
East St. Louis really didn't fall for that fake. They saw Tyler Humphrey come out of the bootleg backfield. They really wasn't fooled by anything. They had a guy on everybody. Once he pulled it down, they really pursued and made the tackle.
Looks like they will elect to kick, and probably the right call. Any chance to get points on the board. The clock is nearing expiration here at the first half. Keep yourself within a touchdown and you get the ball to start the second half. So not an ultimate loss here for Washington as they'll get something if they can make the field goal.
And the snap is fumbled. A disaster for Washington. They won't be scoring here, and he's lit up at the 34. No field goal for the Panthers. A snap couldn't be handled.
Just a demoralizer there for the Panthers. Thought they had 3 easy points, and low snap causes the kicker to pick it up, and he gets drilled.
Not the way you want to end things here in the first half. Ultimately, you want to try to hold steady for 21.5 seconds and just try to keep it right where it's at, but momentum shift in a big way. Just one play can turn things around.
Coming up at halftime, Gavin, you talked with Owen Klein, a member of Washington's football team right now, a sophomore defensive back. Got to know more about him and his experiences with the Washington tornado. He's one of the players most affected by it 10 years ago. That EF4 twister ravaged the town, but they have really built back in a strong way, and Owen Klein has more on that with Gavin Russell coming up here soon at halftime. But first, East St. Louis, not much time left. Prina tried to get to him, couldn't bring him down, and Battle throws one incomplete. Harlan and Cox combined to get the hit on him.
Great pursuit there by Harlan and Cox. Really forced him outside. Prina was the first one there. And he had, Battle had to throw that one away.
And we saw in the opening play of the game, the kickoff return for a touchdown. You know, East St. Louis doesn't need many plays to be able to score, so got to stay locked in. Almost time for halftime, but got to remain locked in for these next couple plays.
14 seconds left. If you're Washington, you can't let the ball go over your head here. Got to stay in front of your defenders. 2nd and 10 from the 32. Of note, Bond has a massive arm, can chuck it 50 yards downfield or more. We might see it here. He's going long. He's got a man, Watson. He overthrew him. Could have been the home run ball.
They had the wheel route there. Battle just missed him outside. I think he was maybe thinking he was going to be on the outside by the sideline. Just took him too far outside.
Maybe a little sun or something getting in his eyes, not able to really catch where that ball is. Was not able to haul it in and brings up a 3rd down.
6 seconds to go. East St. Louis could potentially get 2 plays off. They have all of their timeouts. They can go quick here on this play. They'll come out with 4 wide receivers. They'll be Bennett and Rico Bond at the bottom of your screen. They'll put Bennett in motion. They'll go end around. String out to the outside. Got some blockers, but not enough to get much past the 1st down. And that's the last play of the first half, where it's East St. Louis 13, Washington 3. Overall, pretty defensive game on both sides. Guys, your final thoughts from the first half?
Well, I thought Washington does a great job with time of possession. They're holding the ball for a very long time. East St. Louis, not many drives on offense. The Panthers really imposing their will in that run game. They just can't seem to punch it in.
Really can't. Struggle in the red zone, as you mentioned, and they're just one botch snap away from making this within a touchdown, as they had an opportunity at a field goal. Overall, you'll take what you can get, but lots of credit there for East St. Louis in a hostile environment on the road, coming in, doing what they do best, and making big plays.
Certainly, and I think for Washington, that field goal snap that was fumbled, big killer for them. It could have made it a 1-score game. I'm sure they probably would have been pretty happy with it being within 1 score at the half, but unfortunately they don't get that. But they're still within 10. I think they're still in this game, despite what many people coming into this game may have thought. Excuse me.
They for sure are. You know, with how many turnovers this defense has created in the past, and how they've created already 2 turnovers already off of fumbles. We'll see what the Washington defense can do. Maybe they can stop this offense a few more times to get their offense back on the field so they can create very good drives and get some points on the board.
And the sizable margins that East St. Louis has put up against really, really good opponents, definitely showing Washington can hang with the big boys. They are up here for a reason and certainly have earned every bit of this semifinal appearance. They got 1 more half to do it, 1 more half of Darryl Crouch here at Babcock Field. We'll see if the home Panthers can turn things around a little bit, or if East St. Louis can hold steady and get back to the state championship game.
And with that, we'll step aside for a quick word from our sponsors. Come back with more live coverage here from Babcock Field at halftime. Flyers lead 13-3. Hear Owen Klein's story about the Washington Tornado and how the town and the team bounced back right after this.
Don't wait a second longer, because everyone's a supplier at Uptring Ford. That's right, you qualify for Ford Factory Supplier pricing on new Fords at Uptring Ford, the big Ford store down by the river in East Peoria.
Uptring, serving you since 1982.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
If you're remodeling your home, make sure you choose quality flooring from Ralph's Floor Fashions. We have tile, vinyl, and carpet. Plus, we offer custom installations and repairs. Visit Ralph's Floor Fashions today to see everything we have available.
It's time to get out and about with the help of Academy of Screen Printing and Awards, outfitting you for special events, youth sports, business wear, and shirts for the workplace, and school events. Academy of Screen Printing and Awards has you covered. Let us help you today.
To develop a winning game plan. Get Strong. Get Strong Law.
The new Toro 60-volt battery-powered electric two-stage snowblower. Best-in-class batteries, 30 car clearing capacity, 0 compromises. It does for the snowblower industry what the electric guitar did for rock and roll, only quieter.
Get ready for winter with Toro at Wheelan's Lawnmower Hospital in Peoria and Washington.
I'm here with Owen Klein, sophomore for Washington. Owen, thanks for talking with us for a few minutes. Something kind of historic, not just about the semifinal appearance you guys are in right now, but this Saturday, 10 years and 1 day since the tragic Washington tornado came through. I know you obviously were affected very much by that several years ago, 10 years to be exact. Talk a little more about that experience for you and your family.
It was a difficult experience for our family because it blew away our entire house and we had to completely rebuild, and we had to stay in a hotel and then a rental house for over a year. So it was very hard on our family, but we came together and got through it, along with the town coming through together to help each other get through everything.
Sure, and you talk about the community, Washington Strong became a thing, everybody really rallying around it. What did you just see from this school, from the football team 10 years ago, from just really the entire community that you want to say about that?
I saw that a lot of people really helped each other, even those who weren't affected, helped everyone who was affected, and they all came together so that everyone could really start, rebuild, and for all those who were affected, and basically. Yeah. And the football team really rallied together, and the whole town rallied around them to help each other, help them out.
And last time, this tornado happened, the football team was pretty good too. They finished 12-1 that year. They were in a very similar spot. So you guys, with a chance about 10 years later to do something even more special, what's that mean to you?
It means a lot. A lot of these kids on this team, we're all really close, and we're a family, and it means a lot to all of us to really go down as one of the better teams in our school's history. And so I feel like it's very, very big moment, and a lot of us are nervous, but we know we can produce. So
sure. And you're just a sophomore, so you got a lot of time left in your high school career. What have you learned just over the course of this season? A lot of great seniors, a lot of great guys ahead of you. What have you learned from the experience of these guys? What have they taught you throughout this season?
I grew up around this program, but while being in the program, it's really taught me that football is a lot. It's a big part of who this school is and who this community is. And I feel like without football, we wouldn't get through a lot of the hard times, including the tornado a long time ago.
Sure, and then we'll turn a little more to the game today here on Saturday. East St. Louis, they're a really good team, but you guys are focusing on yourself. What's it going to take to win? What are you guys looking at for this game today?
I think it's going to take everyone to play as hard as they can, and I think if we do play as hard as we can, we really do have a good shot of winning.
Sure, and what makes you excited? It's a big game, maybe some nerves. You mentioned you guys are a little nervous naturally, but what makes you excited? Having a little fun with it makes you excited about the game.
It's really exciting because not many teams have made it to this point, so we can really say that about ourselves, and that's a really exciting thing about this game, that even if we win or lose, we've made it this far, but we really do want to win and make it even farther.
Indeed, Washington looking to go to the state finals, taking down East St. Louis. That'll wrap it up here with Owen Klein talking about Washington's semifinal appearance in the Washington tornado 10 years in a day. Washington and East St. Louis coming up on ClutchSportsIL.com. Welcome back to Washington and Babcock Field. It's a beautiful day for football. Semifinal football here at the IHSA 6A state playoffs. I'm pleased to be joined by John Camosa, heads up into the booth, also by Noah Burlett. Start with you, Noah. Just some first half thoughts. We saw a really good one, a lot of defense. Washington with a couple turnovers. Obviously, East St. Louis standing tall in the red zone. We'll get John's thoughts as well, but some first half thoughts.
I think Washington really controlled the pace of the game here. They really took their time in what they wanted to do. They really established what they wanted to do, and that's to run the ball in between the tackles. But East St. Louis sort of stopping them a little bit, but they're still getting very good push on it. But Washington just needs to really convert on their third down and fourth down, and once they're in the red zone, they really need to convert on those touchdowns, because this could be a completely different game if Washington would capitalize on their opportunities.
Yeah, and I thought, that opening play was huge for East St. Louis. Anytime you run the opening kickoff back, it kind of sucks all the momentum out of the home team. But Washington really didn't let that phase them too much. After that, they had about a 9.5-minute long drive that they got down and then ended up getting a field goal as time expired there. So 7-3 after the first quarter. Washington mainly kept their East St. Louis offense off the field, which was a good thing. And then, in the second quarter, right before halftime here, we saw Washington with that botch snap, able to get some points on the board. Didn't happen. So Washington looking to kind of bounce back here in the second half, but there is some momentum on their side a little bit.
And you mentioned that momentum, maybe sucking the momentum out to start the game. What's the feeling around the sideline, just kind of the vibe, maybe the body language of this Washington team?
Yeah, I think that opening kickoff was big. A lot of guys looked a little deflated, but still woke right back up and got out there. But, that obviously hurt them a little bit. Didn't phase them too much, but you could still see the teams fired up, the chemistry, the morale, obviously hyping each other up. This is a big game. They know the fans are still behind him, and obviously not out of this game whatsoever. But Coach Crouch knows how big this game is. It's his final game, and he wants to send his team out with a win, trying to get to state.
Certainly, and big games like this, it's kind of a tale of two halves. What adjustments can you make at halftime? No, of course, being a current player, Eureka College, also playing here at Washington before. What are those adjustments? What's the mentality going into that locker room that you make at halftime?
Well, if you're Washington, Coach Crouch is going to come in and basically establish what needs to be done. Like in this case, that I think maybe Washington needs to try a little bit, go more outside zone, maybe get some tosses in there, and even spread the offense out, maybe show the arm of Tyler Humphrey, see what he can do, because maybe they can catch these East St. Louis defenders lacking a little bit in terms of the coverage.
Sure, and John, you kind of put yourself on the flip side. East St. Louis, obviously probably the favorites coming into this one. They're a high-powered team. They played a really tough schedule. What do you do to just kind of keep that momentum rolling heading into half number 2?
Yeah, I think their defense is doing a really good job. Obviously, Washington running Keenan McQuarrie almost every possession here, but East St. Louis doing a good job of clogging the middle. I think their defense is playing good and offense is establishing themselves. Robert Battle had that big 3rd and 16 run that set him up for a score there. And then, their offense outside of him, they got Jesse Watson. So some key players still doing their things. They're rolling out, getting open. I think East St. Louis is kind of in the right spot right now.
Sure, and we've already talked a little bit about this, but mentioning tale of two halves, we had some keys for the whole game, maybe to start the game, maybe a key specifically for the second half. We talk about making some adjustments, maybe you mentioned throwing some pitches in there, opening up the passing game a little bit. I think for Washington, the key is going to be if they can keep maybe forcing a turnover or two. If they can be able to take the ball away once or twice in the second half, may set them up to win. What do you guys think? John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think for Washington, something that we've seen all season long, I'm looking for that big defensive play. Maybe an interception. We've seen 2 fumble recoveries, but something to really spark them, give them some momentum. We saw one last weekend with Carter Prina, something like that to really get the momentum back on the home crowd side.
And if you're East St. Louis, you got to make those stops on 3rd and 4th down. Washington's had a number of 3rd downs, a number of 4th downs, and they convert almost all of them. East St. Louis really needs to figure out how they can get their high-powered offense on the field and put some points on the board.
Indeed. Great keys to the second half. Great analysis right there. John Camosa, Noah Burlett, and Gavin Russell here. We're going to step aside for a quick break. More football action coming your way here on Clutch Sports Media and CIProud.com. Don't get anywhere. We'll be right back.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime.
After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams.
Your stories.
Your stats and standings.
Your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts.
As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds.
CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action.
More stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
And welcome back to Washington. Jonathan Michael back here in the booth for Clutch Sports Media alongside Gavin Russell and Noah Burlett. East St. Louis leads 13-3 at the half. Two very contrasting styles of football. Should be a good second half, but first I want to tell you to head on over, maybe during halftime, to head on over to CSM Overtime, which you just saw the video about. Plenty of high school sports content and only high school sports content from around the Peoria, Bloomington, Normals area. There's news, feature stories, photo galleries, nightly roundups. You name it, we cover it. Every school in the Central Illinois area, every sport as well. Head on over today. Subscribe today for $8.49 monthly, $88.49 for a year. That gives you a little bit of a discount if you do the yearly plan as well. Head to clutchsportsil.com/overtime to subscribe today. Guarantee that you'll like what we got going out there. Lots of basketball content coming up here soon, guys. The Washington Tournament of Champions, which we'll be at. Some of the best high school basketball in the country will be right across right across the road in Torrey Gymnasium and on Clutch Sports Media as well. That's going to be a very fun week.
And indeed it will be. I'm really looking forward to this. This will be my third year being a part of it with Clutch, but I've been coming to watch games at Torrey for this TOC for years. You know, sometimes if Bradley basketball plays, we'd come over here to Washington first and then go over to Bradley to watch them play. Always a fun time. You got to check it out. Check out our social media for more information on that.
That's right. You know, when I was younger, I remember going and seeing Zion Williamson. My senior year, Manuel Hansel came, and the gym was just electric. A lot of people.
That was a fun time.
It was crazy. So, very good time there.
Lots of D1 commits on the field for East St. Louis. We're going to have lots of D1 commits playing basketball next week. Tune in on ClutchSportsIL.com. Again, great cause that the tournament's put on for the KB Strong Foundation. Put it on for Kevin Brown, former Washington basketball coach who passed away due to a rare type of brain disease called glioblastoma. It's a devastating disease with not much of a cure, at least right now, but this group, KB Strong, and lots of other people around the area are helping fight for it, sponsored by OSF Healthcare as well, the tournament is. So great cause, great basketball. You won't want to miss it on Clutch Sports Media next week. But guys, let's talk about both these teams' seasons so far, how they got here. Obviously, you know, every time they make it to the semifinals, it's still a special year, especially for Washington, their fifth semifinal appearance. Their only loss came in week 2 against Kankakee, who East St. Louis beat last week. When you look at their schedule, a lot of shutout wins, a lot of dominating defensive performances, and they beat a couple of unbeaten teams in their conference, such as Dunlap in week 7 and Morton back in week 9.
Yeah, and that one loss to Kankakee, they did not allow an offensive touchdown. That was actually on a kick return. So this Washington defense has been elite all year. They really know how to pursue the ball. They know how to get sacks. They create turnovers, and they've just been lights out.
Indeed, and we were at the game when they played Dunlap. You know, as good of a team they are with dueling quarterbacks. The Eagles, we saw multiple pick sixes the Panthers take back, including a couple on the defensive line. I believe Garrett Cox had one. So these Panthers can get it done in a hurry, and they faced some stiff competition to get them to this point.
Certainly, and for East St. Louis, you know, being a national powerhouse, nationally recognized team like they are, they got to play those big teams. I mean, they don't have to, but they choose to, and they've played an out-of-state opponent for at least 20 straight years. As far back as I could go on Max Preps, I saw that they always played a team from out of state. They played 2 of them this year. St. Francis Academy out of Baltimore, who's the number 69 team in the country right now, according to Max Preps. And then one of their losses came against Atos Casita down in Humboldt, Texas. They're the number 51 team in the country, according to Max Preps. They also lost to Chicago Mount Carmel, that game at Hancock Stadium at Illinois State back in week 1. High-profile game. That was Mount Carmel's the number 77 team in the country. So that's 3 top 100 opponents in the country that you're playing. East St. Louis number 68 right now.
Yeah, And as you see on this, they have a lot of high-scoring games, a lot of the 40s, one in the 60s, one in the 50s. This offense and this team can put up straight points. And that's credit to Washington right now, is they're really holding them. They're only 13 points in this first half. Let's see if they can keep it going.
Indeed, and also in the playoffs, too. You talk about their game against Lamont. Normal West and, of course, Kankakee, as we've mentioned. They're playing high-profile teams, playoff teams here in the IHSA. They're certainly no slouches, but speaks volumes to how good the Flyers are, and they're a team that's been nationally recognized for good reason.
Running back by Kanon McQuarrie, or I should say rather that's Nettles on the return. Not much on the return, so tough starting field position here for Washington. Let's revisit our keys to the game. East St. Louis talking about them being patient on offense and being the hunters as well as, I guess you get another look at the players that have offers for East St. Louis. Already seen them, but we'll see them again. How do you feel like East St. Louis is doing with their keys to the game so far, fellas?
So, well, East St. Louis has definitely been on the prowl so far, getting out there. They are really attacking. They're making the big plays, and then patience, they've had a couple of struggles, but overall they've been patient and have the lead so far.
And Washington will run it. Big surprise on first down, not much doing. For the keys for the Panthers, we mentioned staying away from the flags and the time of possession. I got to say, I think they're handling the time of possession right now with flying colors. Penalties, they've also done pretty decent on as well.
Yeah, I agree. Washington's really controlled the pace of this game, really not getting out of what they want to do, not letting East St. Louis influence their game plan, and they just need to punch one in the end zone once they get the opportunity.
Second and long here for the Panthers, who overall didn't play a bad first half of football. Didn't allow the Flyers to get the ball too much. Here's McQuarrie running right tackle, but he's brought down. Big tackle there from Andrew Bowens, the senior defensive lineman.
I thought maybe there might have been a face mask there, but great tackle there. Really great pursuit by the linebacker right there.
Really whipped him down hard, and maybe that's what was throwing us off a little bit, but certainly I agree. It looked like it might have been the same thing, but got to get to the guys in the zebra stripes out there. They've got a little better view of it. Either way, it was a hard tackle, and they are way behind the sticks right now. This is going to be a third and a prayer for Washington. East St. Louis coming out and doing the hunting.
Again, only one wide receiver. They go play action. Humphrey will keep it. He's not going anywhere. Be fourth and long for the Panthers, and they're up to punt on their first possession in the second half.
Not the drive they wanted to start out with. 3 straight runs and 3 straight stops. This East St. Louis really creating some havoc in that backfield.
Trying to be the contrarian for the positives. This is how the first half started for the Panthers. They went 3 and out on their first offensive drive, even after giving up that kickoff return for a touchdown. So kind of a similar feel here. Maybe they just need to settle in a little bit, but a big opportunity now for East St. Louis to really start to pull away.
Here's Smith from his own goal line to punt it away. Keelan LeGrant came in with some heat. He blocked a punt last week. That one will be down to the 31, so great field position here for the Flyers and a chance to go ahead by 3 scores. And if you get a look at East St. Louis, they are flying high again, as they have been just the entire time in program history. Look at that, 10 state titles. Started back in 1979, had one back in 2022. A big one back in 2016. That was the subject of a documentary filmed about them called 89 Blocks that I watched earlier this week. Great film. You should go check it out. That's just one of the 10 state titles that East St. Louis has, one of the most in the state. First and 10, they go end around, and Washington was ready for it. Garrett Cox in the backfield.
Great job of getting off that block. Garrett Cox really comes off the edge with a purpose, and he gets that tackle.
Garrett Cox is a monster on that defensive line. I certainly wouldn't want to line up against him, making his presence felt, and the senior knows, hey, we got to step up and make some big plays. You know, we can't control everything in this game, but we don't want to leave anything to chance. Got to leave it all out on this field.
Their seasons are on the line. You don't want the storybook season for them to end today. They want to keep it going one more week to get back to Hancock Stadium in normal. Battle from the shotgun, finds a man wide open in the middle of the field. That's John Daly. And he's still up on his feet, gets rustled out near the sideline. And no, that's not the golfer, John Daly. This is what John Daly's a little bit more athletic.
You really saw the speed right there. Ball was a little low from Battle, but he made something out of nothing there. Really got to the sideline until Lewis pushed him out.
They'll make it actually a 3rd and short. Late flag comes in. I don't know if East St. Louis got it initially.
Definitely going to be the right call there. It was a horse collar tackle, big time. You could see it all the way up here. Certainly was a personal foul right there. And, you know, point, they're playing fast. They're moving fast. They're trying to snap the ball fast as well. So they want to start to control the tempo of this game, kind of take the thing that Washington had going for them away here in half number 2.
And for the Washington defense, you just cannot have that. You looked like you had them stopped in the backfield on 3rd down. Just shoot yourself in the foot right there.
I don't know about you guys, but again, you want to postpone laundry day. I can say that personally, I've been doing that for a little bit too long. Washington needs to do it as well. Keep the flags off the field. 1st and 10 from the 11. They'll hand it off to Laravius Woods, who's wrapped up in the backfield. Nothing doing for the tailback.
Great pursuit by Pappas there. Coming off the edge. No, he completely came unblocked there.
And these are, you know, pretty typical plays for East St. Louis to run. Usually pick up a few yards, but Washington standing tall and getting in there, just to be able to take them down behind the line of scrimmage is a pretty big victory.
That linebacking core from Washington been just the heart and soul of their defense all season long. You can make the same case for their D-line, led by Cox, Pruna, and Bell. Then you got Bear, Harlan, and Pappas back at linebacker. Some pretty good players. Battle looking to throw. He's flushed out. Baird, uncontained, is able to wrap him up at the 16. That's a big tackle for loss.
And a quiet day so far from Harlan. He really makes a play there. Great pursuit. Maybe he can get involved in this game a little bit. East St. Louis has done a great job of getting those big offensive linemen to take him out of this game so far.
That was the definition of running with some anger. I'm not sure Jace Harlan has ever ran faster in his life to get over there and swallow Battle up. Now it's a big-time 3rd down. We saw an extra point missed earlier from the Flyers, so they're probably not thinking field goal. If you can stop them here, this would be a huge turn of events.
And you also got 4th down and manage as well, but you mentioned it, Gavin. Flyers don't really kick field goals too terribly often. Flyers need to get to the 1. The pass complete across the 10 before he's wrapped up by Mason Burke. That was battled to Daly again. Now set up a 4th and medium. Massive play here for this Panthers defense.
That was the same play they ran on that 3rd down that Daly broke free on. Maybe Washington can key in on that. Seems like he's sitting there right in that intermediate level.
Middle's been wide open on a couple occasions for East St. Louis today. 4th and 7 from the 8. They're probably going to go for the end zone here. Pressure coming off the edge, pass to the end zone. Touchdown, East St. Louis. Battle to Bond.
It's a great ball by Battle. Bond with a great move on that slant route on the inside of that, on that safety rather, and Battle puts it right on the dime.
And that's the Lindenwood connection coming up once again. A couple players that are going to be playing for the Lions next year, Division I FCS ball. Any Lions fans out there might be seeing that a couple of years from now. It's Bond and Battle. Once again, the connection.
Those two players staying pretty close to home. Lindenwood over in just across the Mississippi River in St. Louis. And it's now a 2-score game. This PAT could make it a 3-score game. His kick is up, and this one's good. an important PAT from the Flyers as they now lead 20-3 in the third quarter.
That's got to feel good for the East St. Louis Flyers, knowing that they haven't really had the ball much that first half. When they get it the second half, they create a long drive, a lot of third down conversions, but ultimately come down with the touchdown on a great long drive.
Please report to the press box.
And let's get a look at the Uftring Auto Group scoring drive for East St. Louis. They go 6 plays, 31 yards, 3 minutes and 22 seconds. That's a drive, fellas, that really, sucks a bit of life out of Washington because you had a chance to keep it a 2-score game, had them in third and long, and they were able to manage to pick up the first down and obviously the touchdown.
Yeah, certainly, and it's, again, it's one of those things that it's kind of a back-and-forth affair for both sides. You got to be able to kind of roll with the punches and the different momentum swings you're going to get throughout the game, but now it's, what do you respond with here in this 6 minutes and then the 12 minutes in the fourth quarter? I mean, time is winding down on what could end some people's careers, some people's seasons. It's really do-or-die time for both sides.
And the kick is fielded by Nettles inside the 10. Being pursued, but he's evading up across the 20. And he'll be wrapped up there by Leon Howard. Big storyline coming in today. Daryl Crouch is, again, last season, the all-time winningest coach in Washington history. He's a football coach, not a music artist, but let's take a look at Daryl. Against Washington, many more accomplishments. What a career he has had on the sidelines. They go to McQuarrie, rushes into a wall at first, but keeps on chugging for a short pickup.
And to reiterate on Coach Crouch and the time at least I spent with him, you'll never meet a coach that is more invested in their players than Coach Crouch. He's a guy that'll tell you how it is, and he does it because he loves you, and it's not because he doesn't like you. He tells you how it is, and he's always been the ultimate motivator for me and my time there as the quarterback, and just a great guy and a guy you'll go out to battle for.
Indeed, he's been meant a lot to this Washington Panthers community. He's been a lot to a lot of communities around the football area, and there's a lot of great coaches out there for a lot of different reasons. But as you mentioned, just personally, Coach Crouch, definitely one of the best to do it.
Another run up the middle. And a nice pickup there from McQuarrie, gain of about 4 or 5. But, guys, Washington's been in a lot of third down situations today. They haven't been able to pick up 10 yards on 2 plays too often. And it's put a lot of pressure on this team on third down, especially when they've been in their own territory.
That's right. And so far, they've come away with the first down a lot of the times, even if it gets it down to fourth down. That's a credit to this Washington offensive line.
They need 4 here on third down. A lot of runs in between the tackles from McQuarrie today. Came in with 1,799 rush yards. He's been the workhorse for them. He'll get it again. And McQuarrie gets the call, and he's got the first down as well. Great push from the Hogs up front.
Great job by that offensive front, The center and the 2 guards really pushed their guy back and really made a difference on that defensive line.
And this is kind of a do-or-die drive for the Panthers. You really need to be able to get some points on the board. Really, touchdown is the way you got to be thinking. So the farther you get towards the midfield, definitely going to probably be 4-down territory for Washington, and that's a great play to extend the drive. McQuarrie just coming up with a little push, a little bump with the football to be able to get them the first down.
He sure keeps those legs churning. And he'll run it again. He's met. Looks like that was Bryce Harrison, the senior middle linebacker again. This linebacking group from East St. Louis, guys, probably one of the best that we've seen so far this year outside of Washington's with Elmo Gilliam, Bryce Harrison, and Keelan LeGrant.
That's right. They are some real headhunters. They like to stick their nose in the dirt and really make a difference in that defensive side, really disrupt the offense. There are heat-seeking missiles coming through that line.
Mentioned Keelan LeGrant, just a junior, so he'll be back next year for this Flyers team. 3-star prospect by 24/7 Sports, and he's already got a few big D1 offers, including Arkansas and Boston College.
2nd and 9, another fumbled snap for Washington. That's the third one they've had today. One of them came on that field goal. Can't really have that if you're the Panthers because it's just another wasted down. Now it's 3rd and long.
That's right. Stuff like that really gets you behind the chains. And, you know, Washington's not a team that'll sit there and air it out. So they're relying on the run most of the time. So look for maybe a trick play here from Dale Crouch.
Maybe some play action as well.
We've seen a couple of times trying to play action. Hasn't really worked out, but all it takes is once, you know, for something to click. And, you know, Washington is certainly capable of breaking off a 60 or so yard big play. We've seen it a number of times that result in a touchdown this season. East St. Louis will make some adjustments, but it looks like the Panthers will take a timeout to talk things over.
And let's take a quick word for our sponsors. We'll step aside to come back right after this.
Red tags and gold bow ties in the heart of Chevy country. At Upstring in Washington, get your new Chevy while the getting's good. We're loaded with Silverado half-tons and heavy-duty diesels, and they've all got to go this month at Upstring Chevy in Washington.
Upstring, serving you since 1982.
The Titanic, only at Michael's Italian Feast.
Game and Grub Sunday at Meadows Avenue Tap. Every Sunday, get $5 match play. Our customers have won over 45 million lifetime. Enjoy East Peoria's best gaming experience. Meadows Avenue Tap, slots powered by Gold Rush Gaming, the gold standard in video gaming.
And welcome back to Babcock Field. Big third down here for the Panthers, trailing by 17 in their own territory, and it's 3rd and 10. They'll pass it. At least they'll line up to as they put Barth in motion. Humphrey looks at him. Now he's looking downfield. Got some trouble, but finds McQuarrie. Evades a tackle and stays on his feet. There's a flag in the backfield. Maybe holding against Washington, but we shall see. As it stands, it'd be a 4th and 13.
Washington does that loop motion with Barth there to try to create a diversion to make all the defenders go with him, but East St. Louis was not fooled with that screen pass to McQuarrie there.
It looks like it will be on Washington as East St. Louis is pointing the fingers the other direction. But McQuarrie is brought down hard right there, just got yanked at the ankle. They're going to decline the penalty, and it'll bring up, it should be a 4th down.
That's really tough now for Washington with time waning in this 3rd quarter, guys. There's only a little over 2 minutes left to play. And, you know, this Washington team prides themselves on time of possession, but now you're at the point where you don't want to chew up that clock.
That's right, and something for Washington that seems to be lacking is they always have 1 or 2 plays that really give them a spark and really give them going. Right now, they haven't had that.
They may go with the fake, but they will punt it with Smith. High kick, and takes about to the 38. Great Washington balance. That one's still rolling as it approaches the orange Walgreens W, as we like to call it, inside the 25. So nice boot there from Joe Smith, the sophomore, and I think this is now a must-stop drive for this Panthers defense. You've been so good all year long. There's been a 50% chance in games that the Panthers don't give up a touchdown. I think that it needs to be a 100% chance for them that they don't give up a score here to keep in this game.
Maybe for Washington, the defensive coordinator, Todd Stevens, can dial up some blitzes, maybe have those linebackers really come up and create some pressure on Battle here.
You really need to at this point, as John was kind of alluding to. This is one of the best facets of this Washington team, one of the better defenses that they've seen as a program in a long time, so we'll see if they can clutch up.
Panthers load the box and they motion. It may be a false start against East St. Louis, and it is. The Flyers haven't done much wrong today, but pre-snap penalties has been a little nagging injury for them. You mentioned getting a turnover. Not only can their linebackers and back seven create turnovers, but their defensive line can as well. Cox, Prina, Martin, Bell, all lots of turnovers for us this year. They'll hand off to Woods. Nice cut up field. He's still on his feet. Rather, that's Bennett. Brown can't bring him down. He's across the 20. Now he's finally wrapped up. And a physical play there. Looks like that was Bayer. Brought him down into the 25.
Just an athletic play there. I really thought he was going to get tackled in the backfield. slipped the tackle of Harlan, and then once he went outside, Tyler Brown couldn't make the tackle either and just got what he could. But great job to be very elusive there.
Indeed. I mean, I really thought there's about 3 times he was going to get tackled, and none of them he came down on. So a big pickup and gets all the penalty yardage back.
Panthers defense still on schedule for the most part. It's 2nd and 9. 2 backs, flanking battle. He'll hand off to Woods. He's got some wide open turf. He's got the first down and more. He outruns Burke, who's trying to chase him. He's still on his feet inside the 35.
Great run there with the outside zone. Finally caught Washington sleeping. Harlan was in the backfield, couldn't make the play, and then just got outside. And the Washington defenders had to chase him down.
And they keep bringing out an additional defensive back for, some of those 2nd and 3rd and long plays, anticipating a little more of the pass. But so far, East St. Louis has just been keeping the ball on the ground, trying to find some open space. And it's really, really dangerous when you let a team with so many athletes go where there's more room on the side of the field. So Washington maybe need to employ a little bit different strategies. You mentioned maybe dial up some blitzes.
Quick score update from the other local game in the area. Normal Community trailing early to Downers Grove North 7-0. That game's still in the first quarter, and Robert Battle is pretty frustrated with his offensive line. He's jumping up and down saying, I didn't call for the snap. That's another false start.
That's right. You can see Battle there, very frustrated with his offensive line. I can tell you from personal experience being a quarterback, and, if you have that clap snap count, it really upsets you when you're not even clapping and they're jumping. But, nobody's perfect, so somebody's going to get a penalty sometime.
Pretty much the only glaring bad thing that's come from out of East St. Louis today has been some of those penalties they like to clean up heading in to next week if they can get there.
Yeah, and they'll face the winner of Lake Zurich and Cary Grove if they are able to win. Here's Woods. Nice pickup there, getting close to the sticks, and it's the same verse, same as the first, second, third. East St. Louis moves backward, but then gets it right back in a big play.
Something I'm noticing about this Washington defense is almost every play the defensive backs are making the tackle. Looks like East St. Louis is really taking out those linebackers, really taking out Harlan and Bear and Pappas to funnel them to those defensive backs. But credit to Washington, those defensive backs are really making a tackle.
And really got to credit East St. Louis's offensive line, who returned no starters from last year's state championship squad. All 5 new guys, all 5 big guys. We'll step aside here. We're through 3. East St. Louis leads 20-3 on Clutch Sports Media.
Family banking from a name you trust, Hometown Community Banks. For over 6 decades, we've been here right where you needed us. High-quality banking services delivered by caring professionals, people just like you who live and love Central Illinois. It's a history we're proud of, and one we'll continue to offer to every person who walks through our doors. When you bank in your hometown, your money stays in your hometown. Hometown Community Banks, divisions of Morton Community Bank. Look for the clock tower and you'll know. We have time for you.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're excited about the all-new tracks, and they're selling as fast as they arrive. Just listen to Lee.
I looked everywhere for my 2024 Chevy Trax. I'm from Indiana, and I drove right over to buy it. Such a smooth and simple process.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and the Prairie Home Alliance team is ready to work for you. Kick up your curb appeal with roofing, siding, windows, sunrooms, and more from Peoria Siding and Window. Take the risk out of rainy days with gutter helmet and V-Dry basement waterproofing. Update that outdated kitchen for less time, mess, and money with Woodfront Kitchens. And give your bathroom the best in beauty and function with custom bath solutions. Share your home improvement dream today, and our team will make it work. Call us, click on prairiehomealliance.com, or visit the showroom on Route 24 in Washington.
Welcome back. Just in time for the start of the fourth quarter. It's a carry for Laravius Woods, and Bear brings him down in some 5-on-5 violence. That was 3rd down, so it's 4th down East St. Louis now, and I figure they'd probably try and go for it and just go for the jugular.
That's right, and if Washington can get this stop on 4th down, maybe get some momentum, go down there and score, they would create a lot of momentum for them.
Rather than it is 3rd down.
Excuse me.
Dial it down was that's my error. The dial it down was a little bit too fast. As soon as the play was over, they were ready for 3rd down. Some nervous tension in the stands here on the Washington side. Flyers will pass. He's got Bennett open for a 1st down. these Flyers wide receivers are doing so good at creating separation.
They really are. I mean, they're, of course, Washington is trying to play back a little bit so they don't get beat over the top for, just a 40 or 30-yard some touchdown. But at the same time, it's a really tough spot because now East St. Louis has that separation to be able to get some space.
That's right. And when East St. Louis has gone for the pass, they've really targeted Barth here, really staying away from Lewis over there on that wide side of the field. Barth might need to, hunker down on his coverage game here.
I haven't thrown it to Jesse Watson, the Purdue commit, very much. Barth is covering him at the top of your screen. Handoff up the middle to Woods. Shot out of a cannon. He's got some speed. He's got some moves. He's inside the 5 before Burke brings him down.
Little misdirection play there. Looks like East St. Louis did what Washington did earlier with that loop motion, but they handed it right up the middle, and that offensive line has done amazing things for this East St. Louis offense. Really creating big gaps.
Looked like a bowling ball just coming down the alley right there, and man, nobody was really going to stop him. Surprised he didn't take it all the way in, just short of the touchdown.
Washington needs a big stand. However, it could still be a 3-possession game if Flyers get a touchdown. Woods wrapped up by the ankles in the backfield.
This second half, we really haven't seen a bunch of runs from Robert Battle here. Yes, maybe Washington's containing him pretty well, but he's really showed the arm off today. And unlike last week, he really showed off those legs.
Certainly did, as you kind of mentioned some of last week's stats against the mighty Kankakee K's team who they took down. Battle at 120 yards on the ground, so definitely going a little more passing attack this week.
182 through the air, but they will keep it on the ground with Bennett. Under and around, and Washington finally is able to string him out outside. Will force a 3rd and goal, and even bigger, I think, stopping the clock, because that clock is a big enemy for Washington right now.
Great job by Andre Lewis over there, setting the edge. Really not letting him get outside, shedding the blocks there.
And I always throw it to former Bears coach Lovie Smith, but great time for bend, don't break as a defense. You bend a lot, you can get down to 1 yard, but if you can keep them out of the end zone, that's mission accomplished right there. So a couple plays, we'll see if the Panthers can make that stand.
Crowd is getting loud. They know that the Panthers are maybe not on their last breath, but it's getting close. Timeout East St. Louis. That'll be their first of the game, I should say. And this timeout brought to you by the Fox Pub in Peoria for great food, great drinks, and atmosphere. Head on over to Fox Pub. Want to thank them and the Academy of Screen Printing Awards, Uftering, all of our sponsors here on WMBD and CIProud.com. This broadcast powered by Clutch Sports Media. I'm Jonathan Michael here alongside Gavin Russell and former Washington quarterback Noah Burlett. This is as quiet as we've seen Washington stands for quite some time this year. Every time we've been here this year, guys, it's been a lot of cheering, a lot of first down Panthers, but aside from that drive in the first half, not much going on, although there's still a bit of time left.
Oh, yes, for sure. East St. Louis has really done a great job of not letting the crowd come in. You haven't really seen any big plays from Washington. Just little by little, Washington get up the field, but credit to East St. Louis not letting Kana McQuarrie get any big runs off.
No, you just got to be able to limit those big plays, and they're doing that very, very well. Now they're starting to control this pace the second half and haven't turned the ball over. That's been another thing, that was something they struggled with in the first half. Panthers would love to force a turnover, if nothing else, stop them on downs.
Big 3rd and goal. Flyers go 4 wide. Battle looking on the near side. He's got a man. He's got a touchdown. Jesse Watson, the Purdue commit, finally strikes.
A little announcer's jinx there. I say they've been going to Barth the whole game, and they went right to Andre Lewis, so I'm sorry, Andre, for that one.
Yeah, the announcer's jinx, it's something you get used to a little bit almost. But, no, Watson was kind of due for his own right there. And, Johnny, you just mentioned he'd been rather quiet, but was eventually going to find his own. And he's headed to the Big Ten for a very good reason. A couple of Purdue players Big Ten will be represented well by former Flyers here in the next couple seasons.
A lot of power conference schools have either currently or in the past have boasted East St. Louis players that have made some big-time plays. Here's a PAT, and there's some trouble there. They're going to try and pass it out as Reese Shanklin, or rather that was Battle, trying to pass the ball, but incomplete, so no PAT, but it's still 26-3 ball game. It's the 3-possession game, and Washington would need at least a two-point conversion or two in only 8 minutes and 41 seconds.
I think a big key here is to really get a good return on this kick return for them. Is they need to get good field position. They've been held to, I don't think they've gone over the 30-yard line on a kick return, so I think that's the first step of getting the offense going. And then once you can get Kanan McQuarrie open, that opens up a lot of the passing lanes for these wide receivers.
And I don't know exactly who they'll employ back here on the kick return. We'll have to see. I know Nettles has been kind of the man back there, but, you know, he's obviously not their speediest player, but he's pretty experienced on these kick returns. So if you're going to give it to Nettles, at least give yourselves a game plan of, you know, which side of the field are you going to head to, who are going to be your up blockers, because otherwise if you're just running aimlessly, pretty good chance East St. Louis is going to fly in and take you down. I do think there also was a flag resulting back from the previous PAT attempt, so it'll back East St. Louis up, making it a little easier. As you mentioned, needing good return, this should help out a little bit.
It's Nettles and Barth back to receive, and it's Barth picks up at the 35, so already some good field position here. He's brought down, short return, but better field position brought down by Leon Howard. Guys, we mentioned how the Flyers have contained Kanan McQuarrie, but that doesn't take away from the video game season that he has had. Look at the video game season he's had. He's been playing on rookie difficulty. He's got 211 carries for nearly 1,800 yards coming into today. He's obviously crossed that threshold since then. 28 touchdowns, 150 rush yards per game, along with over 2 touchdowns per game as well. He's, for the most part, been not a major X factor for the Panthers offense.
That's right, and going back a little bit on this season for Kanan, he just passed my running back,
Thomas Borges, yeah,
for third all-time in Washington's rushing list. I'm sorry, Thomas, I had to bring it up. So
I don't think Thomas would be too terribly upset. He made some good plays on Clutch Sports Media as well. I remember that big either touchdown or 2-point conversion against Pekin, I think, a couple years ago.
Yep, that's right.
And we'll run with McQuarrie. A big play here. He's wrestled down after a gain of nearly 10. That's one of the first times we've called Smiley Bradford's name. The safety, he's also headed to Purdue.
Great one-on-one tackle there, but also a great call by Darryl Crouch with that sprint draw where the fake where Tyler Humphrey's going to roll out to his right and Kanan McQuarrie runs with him and just runs right back in the middle of the field. Had one-on-one and great tackle there.
And McQuarrie was looking for a juke or something right there, but, I mean, he was just able to just kind of stand up and make the tackle.
Panthers will go to throw. He's got Barth for just short of the sticks. Good things happen when Washington throws the football. I think they're going to have to do so a lot more here, especially off the play action and the rollouts.
Good to see Tyler Humphrey get out there on the rollouts. I know he's been probably eager to throw. They haven't thrown much this game, so let's see what they can do on this drive.
His arm should be plenty fresh then. I mean, I'm sure you speaking as a quarterback can say, hey, it takes a little toll the more you throw the football.
That's right, you know. Good thing it's not a cold day, because if it was a cold day, he might need to warm up again.
The elbow feeling a little stiff out there,
right.
but now he should have plenty of juice in the tank to air the football out, and they're going to need to hook up on some big receptions if they want a chance to get something going.
Keep an eye on number 88 at the top of your screen. That's James Johnson, 6'4" receiver, big athletic target, a basketball player, and caught a touchdown last week against Glenwood. It'll be a keeper for Humphrey. Misses the first tackle, but brought down after the second line. Boy, Travion Mays on the defensive line, number 52 in white, he was hungry for a feast, trying to eat up Humphrey, but quarterback got past him for a short gain.
He certainly was. See, Washington, that's the first time they ran that quarterback ISO from the gun. They had a lot of success from it last week versus Glenwood, but not really dialing up this week.
Under 8 minutes to play, Washington in desperation mode. Humphrey is rolling out. He doesn't have much. He's brought down from behind.
Humphrey got smoked there.
As Mekhi McDowell, senior defensive lineman, bringing him down, and Humphrey is down a big physical tackle, and looks like McDowell may have pushed him into the ground a little bit afterwards as well.
Well, I know Tyler Humphrey's a tough kid. I train with him. Me and him trained together at Four Verticals Academy with our old Washington coach, Rob Garcia, and he's a hard worker and he's a tough kid, so he'll probably be fine after this.
Took a tough hit, though, right there, as you mentioned. Went down hard and almost thought it could have been a dangerous play, as he was a little indecisive there on kind of the run pass. He didn't know if he wanted to take it himself or actually toss the ball, and was a little careless. Be lucky that one didn't slip out. But, of course, now focuses make sure he's going to be all right and can stay in this ball game.
Humphrey's still on the ground. The silver lining for Washington is that they do have some other quarterbacks that can play. They have Mason Burke. He's worn up on the sidelines right now. Burke is a little bit kind of a interesting, kind of like a gadget player. He can do a bit of everything. He can return kicks. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball. He can also be a quarterback as well. A transfer from Dunlap. He's just 1 for 5 for 10 yards passing on the season, but has 12 rushes for 75 yards and a touchdown running the ball this year. So
he's definitely an electric player. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had a kick return touchdown versus Cremoni in the playoffs. So he's an electric player at quarterback, great athlete. Maybe this changes things up. Get this Washington offense rolling before it's too late.
Humphrey is up, albeit slowly on his own power, walking off the field. Looks like it was, don't want to speculate too much, but maybe more of an upper body injury. Hopefully he is okay, but it'll be the Mason Burke show for now. Burke, a senior, so he's got that pressure of not wanting to play in his last game. And it'll be up to the backup for the Panthers now. It's 4th and 3 on the Flyers 36. When you approach 7 minutes to go, you figure if Washington scores, maybe look for the onside kick. Burke rolling out, looking to find a man. He's got it. Quick pass to Tyler Brown, who only has 4 receptions on the year, but that one's his biggest. Keeps the chains moving.
What a way to come right in the game and make an impact. They roll Mason Burke out, and right away he finds that little 10-yard hitch route and finds Tyler Brown.
I really like the way that throw looked. Just threw it on a dime.
Panthers going 5 wide, and look at this. Number 70, that was the receiver. That's Henry Warwick, the left tackle. Burke going down the field to Barth. They try to distract the Flyers, putting the left tackle out as a receiver. Flyers didn't bite, though, said, you're not throwing it to him. They go deep to Barth in double coverage, incomplete.
All my 4 years of being a Washington quarterback, I don't think I've ever seen that formation before.
I'm sure Darryl Crouch has evolved in maybe some of his play calls, or their offensive coordinator maybe has done so as well since you left. You never know.
Looks like the infamous play from a few years ago the Indianapolis Colts ran. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that one, but if you look it up on YouTube, they tried to run a play very similar, just put a couple men on the offensive line. Interesting looking formation.
It'll be 2nd and 10. 4 wide receivers. Hunter Reed in the backfield. Burke will keep it. Has some room to run. He's got some blocks. He's out near the 10. Big run from Burke. Got it done with his arm. Gets it done with his legs there. Picks up the first down.
Great downfield blocking by the wide receivers there. You see Barth and Brown getting physical with their guys. Really opened up a lane for Mason Burke to come in.
Got to give him a lot of credit, whether or not he has been around this quarterback room and around a lot of different parts of this team. This is a difficult job to come in as the backup kind of unexpectedly late in the game and make big plays like this, so props to him.
Nettles, Brown, and Barth, the 3 receivers at the bottom of your screen. Johnson at top. Burke will run it again. He's got some space, and he's met one-on-one. That was Mekhi Mixon, the defensive back. He's got some D1 offers, bringing him down inside the 5.
Washington come with a new life on this drive. With under 6 minutes left, they bring Burke back. They bring Burke in at quarterback, and seems like they just found some new juice.
This is a play I feel like you really need a touchdown. You don't want to afford to take too much more time off the clock, so this this will be a big one, as it looks like we'll get a timeout, and it looks like East St. Louis will halt things here for the moment.
I'll be their second timeout of the half. This timeout is brought to you by Fox Pub in Peoria for great food, drinks, and a sort of an Irish bar, a little bit of United Kingdom influence over there. Head on over to Fox Pub. I want to thank them for their support of this afternoon's broadcast. Fellas, it's been a great season of football here on Clutch Sports Media. Again, if either Washington or Normal Community were to win today, we'd travel down with them to the state title game next Saturday for a audio-only broadcast from Hancock Stadium. Both these teams came in today wanting back to Hancock Stadium, and interesting enough, some people on each team has been there before. That's where East St. Louis started their season in a big-time match against Mount Carmel, non-conference neutral site game week 1, and Mount Carmel won 36-33. Washington wants to get back to Hancock Stadium, where Daryl Crouch played his college football at Illinois State. Right now, it's the Flyers looking more likely of the two. See what the Panthers have to say about that is McQueary. He's close. Can he get a push? He is not in. Missed it by the skin of his teeth.
Looks like after the play there, Harlan really just got shoved like crazy. He's begging for the call, but no flag thrown.
Washington having to go quick. We're approaching 5 minutes to play in the game, and the Panthers would need to get the ball back twice.
Third down and goal.
Clock stops momentarily for the first down. Burke right to the sideline, getting the play call. It didn't go to McQueary for a couple plays there, and now they bring him in and almost got the touchdown there. We'll see if they call his number again.
Again, East St. Louis coming with the 5 down D linemen, and those backers, they're really creeping. See if they can get some pressure here, or if Washington can really manhandle them.
Heavy set backfield, 3 men back there plus 2 tight ends, Cox and Prina. It is McQueary, he's in! Touchdown number 29, the confetti flies, and Washington finally breaks the plane of the end zone. Is it too little too late though? We shall see.
You see Henry Warwick there, number 70, with a great block on that edge rusher, really created a massive hole for Kanan to run through, and also credit to Carter Prina for taking out that overhang backer.
Those tight ends just acting as extra linemen, and they did the job right there, making a nice big hole, and McQueary didn't have to struggle too much to find the end zone on that one, as Washington finds their first touchdown of the game as they'll head for 2.
3 wide receivers plus a tight end. And the Panthers will call a timeout. Daryl Crouch not too happy there. Looks like he was looking to try and get Tyler Brown on the field, and Brown was clear on the other side of the sideline. But, guys, an interesting call here. And, again, I'm not saying Daryl Crouch doesn't know as much about football as I do, because that's certainly not the case. There's anyone that has beaten football knowledge, it's him. But interesting call here to go for 2, because if you go for 2 and don't get it, it's still a 3-possession game. If you go for it and kick the PAT, you can make it a 2-possession game. And even if you don't get it, you still need to get 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions, and that still wouldn't be enough.
Yes.
So personally, I think I would kick it here.
Yeah, but, you know, Daryl Crouch is a risky guy. They definitely wouldn't be in this situation if they didn't take risks. And, you know, they're just sticking to what they know to do best and seeing what they can do with it.
They know they'll need some 2-point conversions at some point if they want to get back into it, so might as well try and get them now.
Burke running out. He's got some space. He'll throw it. He's got Brown for 2. Big 2-point conversion, and the play call pays off. The Panthers are still in it.
You see when Mason Burke really rolls out there, the corner really took his eyes off Tyler Brown and started to come right for Mason Burke. And right as Burke saw him take off, he knew right where to go to. And Brown was sitting in the end zone by himself.
Really got to give him credit for coming in and just being the X factor on the rest of that drive. You know, Comfrey, you don't want your starting man to go out, and it looks like he may have sustained some sort of neck injury or head injury. obviously that's a scary sight and make sure he's all right. But, you know, Brown being able to come in and just do his thing. Wow.
(26-11) your score at the moment. Washington had gotten close on a couple possessions. Got one field goal from Devin Miller back in the first quarter and had a fumbled snap on another. And on their longest scoring drive so far, 8 plays, 54 yards in 4 minutes and 1 second. Brought to you by Uftring Auto Group. And now we'll maybe see an onside kick. We shall see. Bounces up. Who's got it? And Washington may have it. That could be Panther football. It is. The Panthers are still clinging on to life.
What a turn of events here for the Panthers. Panthers really rolling the dice with the onside kick. You know, looked like a muff where the guy just couldn't hold on to it, and Washington slides in there for the takeaway.
Way to bring the crowd back into it now as everybody gets on their feet on the home side. And, you know, again, it's just one of those things. You got to look at the details of the game. You know, if you can't be able to really secure that onside kick, you know, could that be the change here? I know time is working against Washington, but this is exactly the way they want things to go here in the late stages.
A storybook season now with the backup quarterback in. Look at this formation from Washington. All 5 linemen out to the outside. What do they got going here? No one in the area, or rather Cox was, and they throw the flag. This is going to be PI on the Flyers. Rather, he was looking for McQueary out of the backfield.
Very odd formation there by the Panthers. Keenan McQueary is on the line of scrimmage, but he is still considered an eligible player to go out for a pass.
So the Panthers get 15 there, and the wheels are starting to get a little shaky now for the Flyers.
I bet you they didn't scout that play coming up.
I'm just stunned over here. I mean, the different formations, it's just bizarre.
First and 10, everyone on their feet.
12 men on the field.
Flyers not playing too disciplined right now, and it's allowing the Panthers to creep back in. And an offsides penalty now on the Flyers. What is going on with East St. Louis?
Looks like the pressure's really getting into them. Washington come with a lot of force coming in, a lot of momentum with them.
They've just marched right down the field just all on penalties.
25 yards and penalties puts them on the 15. And the best thing for them is no time has come off the clock. 4.5 to go. Burke dropping back. He's got some pressure. He escapes. He's got some room to run across the 10 before he trips up. Got by the turf monster.
Oh, man. Barth with a great block on the outside, funneling his guy to the inside. All Burke had to do was make one move and walk right into the end zone. But
Panthers are right back in this one. Burke looking. Who's he got? Defended by Bass, but it looks like physical play. Washington wants a flag, but they won't get it.
This Washington offense just feels different right now. Just a complete change from that first half where they weren't really getting anything going in the pass game. And then once Burt comes in, he comes in and takes over and establishes himself right when he gets in.
3rd and 3 from the 8, so you do have to get the first down. You can't forget about that. Obvious 4-down territory here with 4 minutes even on the clock. Still 4 wide receivers for Washington. Nettles is on the bottom of your screen. It's Barth, Brown, and Johnson at top. Burke will keep it. Pitches out to McQueary across the 5. He breaks a tackle. Touchdown, Washington! Here come the Panthers.
Washington with a read option there. Great play called by Darryl Crouch where Mason Burke reads that outside D end, and when he crashes down on him, he flips into McQuarrie, and McQuarrie with a nice move to get in the end zone.
Can you believe it, folks? What a turn of events. If you've just tuned in, one of the wildest, on its way to potential comeback territory as we've seen maybe ever in Clutch Sports Media history.
Now they're going for the PAT. Here's Devin Miller. He's made 47 of them this year. This is a big one. Snap was low, but a nice job by the holder. I believe that was either Barth, possibly, who fixed it. Miller puts it through, and we have a one-score ball game with 3:53 left. That's perfect execution by Washington.
It really is. Really changed the momentum of this game completely. Washington had no momentum coming into this fourth quarter, but once Burt comes in after the injury to Humphrey, really just completely changes it.
Now my question is what do you do here on this kickoff? They executed the onside kick. Now, of course, the analytics are going to say the odds are very stacked against them to do so again, and I'm sure East St. Louis may be expecting it a little more. The hands team seems to be out, but maybe you'd even just consider kicking it away and just trusting your defense. Well, we'll see what happens.
The fans are jumping. Babcock is electric. We got semifinal football coming down to the wire. Another onside kick is bouncing, and East St. Louis gets it. Christopher Bennett with the sure hands at the 42.
Oh, man, Thomas Dietrich really came in and almost got that, almost took the guy's head off, just missed him. But what East St. Louis really needs to do now is they need to just control the clock. Scoring fast doesn't really help your case here because Washington gets the ball right back. If they have a slow, methodical pace to this drive, they can close this game out.
If Washington can force a 3-and-out here, fasten those seatbelts. I'd fasten them anyway for the last 3:44. But Washington's defense has got to clutch up in the biggest way. One of the best defenses in the state. Can they prove it right now?
The bleachers are shaking. Our camera's causing our camera to shake. Here's the Panthers defense. They're going to be coming for blood. They got Woods at the line.
And finally, Jace Harlan all night really hasn't been a factor. Makes a big play right there.
And we're going to get a timeout here. You got to think Washington has just that adrenaline coursing through their veins right now, and everybody on that defensive line, if you talk about Madden, a few more overall to their record right now.
That's right. And you can see just the body language of both teams right now. Washington running off the field, they're hype. East St. Louis walking off the field almost looks like you would think by looking at them they would be losing, but they're up, and they really need to pull it together here.
I think it was those penalties that they had. That pass interference, the 12 men on the field, then offsides, where things started to unravel for them a little bit. They're still in the driver's seat, but, that's something that if they do make it to next week, they got to get better at. But Washington has them on the ropes, but East St. Louis could quiet this crowd with a couple first downs. Here's Battle, 5 wide receivers. Looking to pass, and he's got his man Watson, but he's short of the sticks. It'll be 3rd and medium before he's brought down. I believe that may have been Pappas in coverage.
Now, if you're Washington right now, you get this 3rd down, looks like about 3rd and 6. If you get this stop, this place will probably erupt.
It definitely will erupt. This has got to be, we'll see a lot of big plays in this game in the next 3 minutes or so, but this is the biggest right here.
They'll come with 4 wide receivers. Battling shotgun with Woods to his left. He's looking downfield. There's pressure. Can he escape? He can. 1st down and more. Battle is going to run it all the way. A dagger for the Panthers.
Just a demoralizer for this Panthers defense. Looked like they had everybody covered on that backside, but Battle just coming through with the biggest play of his life probably.
Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. Robert Pops Battle, who's thrown some amazing balls today, gets it done with his legs again and silences this Washington crowd.
And that's credit to Washington's defense there. That's really the first time battle's really broken free. It just happened to come in the worst time of the game.
Really did, and again, a lot of credit to Battle there. I mean, he stepped up in the big moment. Of course, home Washington fans are pretty demoralized on that one, but the odds are stacked against you. Everything going in the home team's direction. To be able to make a big play like that just shows the caliber of player that you are and the championship DNA that this East St. Louis team has.
They've been in these big games before. Battle was a captain on that state championship winning team that they had last year. They're 2 minutes and 50 seconds away from having a chance to do so again. Battle looking for the 2-point conversion. Got a man. It's complete. Found Rico Bond for 2, and that'll make it 34-18. Washington isn't completely out of it, but things just got a whole lot tougher.
And just like I said last drive, even though we have two minutes and 50 seconds left to go in this game, if Washington can just get a good return on this kickoff, that really helps them out, because you see last drive, once they got that good return, everything just seemed to be clicking for them.
You look at the Upstream Auto Group scoring drive, 3 plays, 58 yards in 54 seconds. Washington got him on 3rd down. They almost wrapped up Battle short of the sticks, but I think he kept his feet high off the ground, avoided the ankle tackle, and that's why he was able to get free. And that's a big one for East St. Louis, to put it lightly. Personal foul on Washington after the play, so this kick will be coming from the 45. Maybe tough to get good field position here. It's a squibber, goes into the end zone, and Washington will just take the touchback. So 2:50 to go. If you can strike very quickly, I think Washington can get back in it, and who knows, maybe recover another onside kick. But this offense has to play with an inferno under them on this drive. They got to go quick.
That is correct, and that last drive, they really seemed like they were clicking on all cylinders. Mason Burke coming in, really taking over this offense, providing some of that extra spark that they really craved for this whole entire game.
They needed those big plays, and they got them. How many more do they have left up their sleeve? Is the tank empty, or can they take a big shot right here? They're going to have to try.
It's McQuarrie in the backfield. He'll just be pass blocking here. Burke has plenty of time to throw before he's flushed out. Looking downfield, had Brown, who had a step on the Purdue commit Bradford, but Burke just airmailed him just a bit. Tough throw to make on the run.
Just going to be passing from here on out for the most part. There's a lot of receivers for Washington that definitely can catch the ball. A lot that we don't call their name a lot, just because McQuarrie and Harlan and company are going to get a lot of the focus. But James Johnson's out there. Talked about Brown a little bit, Nettles and others.
East St. Louis coming out, a little bit more of a zone look here. Burke looking to throw, going downfield. He's got Brown open this time. He runs smartly out of bounds to stop the clock. Didn't quite have the speed to beat Mekhi Mixon, who caught up to him quickly. But Washington still has a pulse.
Great play call by the Panthers. They realized East St. Louis is in that cover 2 look where that corner is sitting on that first guy to come in the flats. Really took advantage of it.
And again, a lot of talent in that secondary for East St. Louis, but just outsmarting them there a little bit. And a nice play call. ESL has some breathing room a little bit, but not much.
2:33 to go. Panthers at the 41. They'll run it to McQuarrie, and absolutely nothing doing. Mytrell Tillman, the sophomore D-line with a big TFL.
Number 2, Kanan McQuarrie, brought down by number 55, Mytrell Tillman.
Interesting play call there, trying to get East St. Louis off speed a little bit, but Tillman just broke through that line. Got past the heart of the Washington front 5 and brought him down for a big tackle. Now the Panthers at their Flyers 49. Burke with time. Nothing doing there, and Brown got lit up by Quentin Kirby.
Looked like Washington had a mesh route there where the two slot receivers come in and cross, and then outside receiver James Johnson had one of those post-stop routes. I think that's what Mason Burke was trying to go to, but just couldn't connect.
Still a good-looking throw. You know, again, wasn't on the same wavelength with their receiver, but still a good throw. If they can get open and get some space, you know, I'd fully expect them to hook up, and they're going to need one of those big pass plays right here.
Panthers need the 31. They're just a yard across midfield. And it looks like there might be a penalty on Washington. I think that was Brown who moved a bit too early. That'll make it even tougher. 3rd and 23.
Just a harsh mental mistake there by Tyler Brown. Really can't afford to have those silly mistakes, especially at this time in the game.
Talked about keeping the penalties and keeping the laundry off the field. They've done a pretty good job at that this entire game, but just coming at the wrong time and backs them up for our first 3rd and country mile territory that we've seen this entire game.
Flyers playing back deep, but they're going to get a sack. They only rushed 4, but Leon Howard swarmed in there, and now it's 4th and forever for the Panthers.
You see Howard coming in with another great play and really just blew through that Washington offensive line. Washington had a receiver over the middle, but Howard was just so quick getting to the quarterback that they couldn't do anything about it.
The Panthers have won 10 straight. A storybook season for them. And on the 10-year and one-day anniversary of the infamous tornado, they're hoping to cling on to some hope. Just like they did there. It's 4th and 30, the season on the line. Here's Burke. He's rolling out. He's in trouble, and he's going to be brought down. The ball is out, but that won't matter. East St. Louis will take over on downs, and the Flyers will head to their 2nd straight Class 6A state championship.
Valiant effort by the Panthers to stand up as the Washington faithful with a round of applause. Nothing else you can say. But very proud of their hometown Panthers. But for East St. Louis, you know, they maybe didn't finish the way exactly they wanted to, but they made it count when they had to. And they will head back to the state championship game, this time in a different location, but a familiar place for the Flyers.
And to reiterate that, this is a great Washington team. This is one of the they had a great regular season, one of the better Washington teams, along with that 2021 team, the 2018 team. That was very good. They're up there with one of the better teams to come through Washington.
You said it, Noah. One of the most successful teams in state history, or I should say in team history. This group will not be forgotten. I was talking with Kanon McQuarrie earlier this week. He said that they knew even last year that this year was going to be a big one for them. And they did so many people proud. One of the best runs that they've had, and that will be the end for head coach Daryl Crouch after 19 unforgettable seasons in Washington. Flyers are going to win this one 34-18. They're moving on in the Class 6A state championship game. We'll be right back after this on Clutch Sports Media for post-game coverage right after these messages.
Family banking from a name you trust, Hometown Community Banks. For over 6 decades, we've been here right where you needed us. High-quality banking services delivered by caring professionals, people just like you who live and love Central Illinois. It's a history we're proud of, and one we'll continue to offer to every person who walks through our doors. When you bank in your hometown, your money stays in your hometown. Hometown Community Banks, divisions of Morton Community Bank. Look for the clock tower and you'll know we have time for you.
At Bob Grimm Chevrolet in Morton, we're excited about the all-new tracks, and they're selling as fast as they arrive. Just listen to Lee.
I looked everywhere for my 2024 Chevy Trax. I'm from Indiana, and I drove right over to buy it. Such a smooth and simple process.
That's the Bob Grimm way.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and the Prairie Home Alliance team is ready to work for you. Kick up your curb appeal with roofing, siding, windows, sunrooms, and more from Peoria Siding and Window. Take the risk out of rainy days with gutter helmet and V-Dry basement waterproofing. Update that outdated kitchen for less time, mess, and money with Woodfront Kitchens. And give your bathroom the best in beauty and function with custom bath solutions. Share your home improvement dream today, and our team will make it work. Call us, click on prairiehomealliance.com, or visit the showroom on Route 24 in Washington.
The Jansen Law Center has protected Illinois citizens for over 40 years with regard to dangerous drugs and has taken on the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world and have won cases for Illinois residents.
Jay Jansen. One name says it all.
If you're remodeling your home, make sure you choose quality flooring from Ralph's Floor Fashions. We have tile, vinyl, and carpet. Plus, we offer custom installations and repairs. Visit Ralph's Floor Fashions today to see everything we have available.
Welcome back to Babcock Field, where the East St. Louis Flyers officially have beat the Washington Panthers 34-18. But there you see state semifinalist plaque for the Panthers. That one will be remembered for a long time. It will either hang in the Pantherplex right next to the stadium or in their trophy case. But what a season for the Panthers. Congratulations to the East St. Louis Flyers, though. They battled, no pun intended, that big quarterback run from Robert Pops Battle. A big difference maker in this one, and they will be heading on to the 6A state title game against guess who? Their foes from 2021, that same game, Cary Grove. 6A state finals are set.
Should be a great game to watch. A lot of high-powered offenses and defense coming back. I think Cary Grove runs that wing T offense, so really see a difference from what East St. Louis is used to.
Indeed, and I think that with a little more chip on their shoulder, they definitely want to come in with a little fury to that one, bringing it to ISU. Originally back at U of I the last few years, but now back down in Bloomington Normal, and they like to make a little noise. It should be a very entertaining 6A state chip.
And, this season for Washington, obviously, not the way that they wanted to end, but I think if you ask Darryl Crouch, these players at the start of the season, hey, you're going to make the state semifinal and you're going to hang with one of the best teams in the country, I think you probably got to be pretty excited about that, pretty happy. An incredible group of seniors for this Panthers group that really took them far. Guys like Kenan McQuarrie, Mason Burke, the spark plug off the bench. Tyler Humphrey is still a junior. He'll be back next year, but all your seniors, guys like Eli Pappas, Jace Harlan, Eli Bear, Garrett Cox, Robert Martin, Tyler Brown, Brayson Barth, Zach Ryan, the list goes on. A very special group of players all through their football careers here in Washington, whether that started at JFL, they came in maybe middle, in between JFL and high school, but they're not going to forget ever what they had here in Washington.
No, you definitely do. I know when I lost to Crete Monet back in 2021, it was one of the toughest things that I think I've ever experienced, and to this day I think about how, what we could have done to maybe get past them, what we could have did to prevent this from happening. But in all, it's something you'll never forget in your life. It's stuff you'll tell your kids about 50 years from now, and it's just a great time. It's a bitter ending. Nobody likes the ending. It always sucks, but you look back on it and the friendships you made, the people you got to know, really it's a great time.
Really, and it's, as you mentioned, it's not easy. Nobody likes to have to move on from something so special, and there's no, telling them, keep your heads up. It's going to sting for a little while. It's something they'll always think about. But at the end of the day, they can be very proud that not just Washington, really all of Central Illinois, had their back. Teams in the middle line. I saw people walking around from even representing different schools here to support the Panthers today. So they made a big impression here on Central Illinois, across the state as well. They gave the Flyers certainly a bit of a scare. The Flyers, a very, very nationally recognized team. Panthers have nothing to hang their head on, and certainly will continue to be a dominant program going forward under new head coach.
So the Flyers will have a chance to compete for their 11th state title in their 44th playoff appearance. That's the most in the state. What a program that they are, and what a win for the East Side. Let the good times roll down in Flyer territory for the Panthers. A wonderful season for them comes to a close at 11-2. State ranked in the AP poll all season long. They win 10 straight games, set all sorts of records, incredible defense. But all stories have to end, and unfortunately for the Panthers, it does today at the hands of East St. Louis. That about wraps things up from Babcock Field. For all of our hardworking broadcast crew, including our camera operators Robert Brown, Harvey Newcomb, Michael Savoy on the sidelines providing social media updates, Francisco Alonso, Kenny Clifton, and Ethan Genders providing pictures and videos from the sidelines. Stay tuned to our social media channels for pictures, videos, and all sorts of highlights from today's game. And also our director, Joshua Messenger, our producer, Patrick Huber, and my wonderful broadcast partners, Gavin Russell, and I believe making his broadcast debut today was Noah Burlett, former Washington quarterback, in the booth with me. That about wraps things up from football season. For Clutch Sports Media, I'm Jonathan Michael saying so long from Babcock Field. We'll talk to you next week at the Washington Tournament of Champions for some great basketball. Have a good evening, folks.